Okay.
Frank, how are you, sir? Doing well. How about you?
Two phones?
Yeah. If I could, I'd just take them both and throw them one direction, throw the other one the other way.
Left one in the truck.
Yeah. Run back out to
Yeah. How are you doing this morning? Hey, Weena.
Get rain your way.
What's that?
Get rain your way.
Ooh, it's a gully washer this morning. It's nice.
Test 1 2 3. Test.
Keep the dust down on my road for about 2 days. Keep it from being so dadgum dusty. Oh, mercy.
My wife got up about 7:30 and says, "Did it rain?"
Missed all the downpour. Try to anyway. Besides, the driver has
Test.
Is Billy going to be the only one that's present? Yeah. That's what I was thinking. That's how I worded it.
Recording in progress.
Whatever they were having. Yeah, that is. Yeah. Oh. That's right. That's my rainy day.
Made a lot of fixes to the audio. So one hand away from the mic is you'll get like perfect.
Okay.
2 hands, it'll still pick you up. But anything beyond that, it should not pick you up. So that way now when you push it up here, you won't get caught in the recordings.
Thank you. Didn't ride the tractor, did you?
No, I wanted to. But they said about noon we're supposed to get slammed.
Start up again.
Yeah, it could possibly be severe around noon. And I got to turn my phones all
Said
off.
1 to 2 inches.
Yeah. I don't know how much rain we got last
I
night.
bet we got half to 3/4 this morning out here just by that downpour.
We
Probably
had
real close.
We had the downpour. All I know is the dog come running up there and whining, wanted up on the bed. I put him up there and he run up there outside the covers. Got right up here in the nook of my arm and stuck his head under my arm. Every time it was thunder, he'd shiver. That little shit.
Big dog of mine just followed me around all morning. Every time the lightning went off.
Well, I would let him upstairs there. When I went upstairs, he run and got in the shower there in the bathroom. I don't know what it is about
Hanging and slinging.
shower, but he likes to run and get in that shower. one is this? Is that on the
Oh my
appointment?
gosh, I love that. That is so funny.
Oh, okay. Doesn't pertain to mine.
They are cute, cute, cute.
I really, I mean,
Now, they're gonna eat you guys when you're old enough to see that movie. Grandsons, Dumb and Dumber, Harry and
oh,
Lloyd.
yeah.
She could get him a little motorcycle.
Well, look at this one. Oh my gosh, it is so funny. It wasn't a motorcycle, but they were outside playing. Yep. They were outside playing on their little. Yeah.
Roll her down.
No, don't you dare update on me. Not the time to update on me. Sure.
If everybody would please take your seats. Quapaw Nation Business Committee regular meeting for Saturday, October the 18th, 2025 will now come to order at 9 a.m. Linda Davis, would you please lead us in the invocation?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Most gracious Heavenly Father, Father God, as we come before you this morning, Father, we humbly bow our heads and thank you for the many blessings that you bestow upon each and every one of us. Father God, I pray special blessings upon each and every one that is present and for those that could not be. Father God, I just pray for those that are in mourning, Father, and that have lost their loved ones. And Father, I pray for those that have loved ones that are in the hospital that are suffering with afflictions. Father, I pray for those that are homeless, Father, that they may have a roof over their head to stay dry. Father, those that suffer from mental illness and addiction, Father, that you can restore them. Father, that you can make each and every one of these situations whole from head to toe. Father, knowing that you are the one that can. Father, that we can draw nearer to you. Father, that you would go with us today to conduct this business for the betterment of our nation. Father, that you know each and every person's heart. Father, that we can find a form of unity, Father God. And again, that you be with us to lead, guide, and direct us in each and every way. Father, return us home safely at the appointed time, and may we find our homes better than when we left them. Father, we love you, and we thank you for the love that you have for us, that you forgive us for our sins. We ask all these things in your most precious holy name. Amen.
Amen. Secretary Treasurer Valier, would you please take roll call and declare quorum?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Chair Supernall,
Present.
Vice Chair McKibben,
Present.
Secretary Treasurer Valier, present. Member Mercer, Member Davis, present. Member Buffalo,
Present.
Member Gibbswater.
Present.
Madam Chair, I declare a quorum. I call for the orders of the day.
Thank you, Secretary Treasurer. Business Committee, are there any corrections to the documents listed as part of the consent agenda? The consent agenda includes the September 20th, 2025 meeting minutes, the directors and subcommittee reports as submitted. Hearing no objections, we'll proceed to the vote. All those in favor of adopting and approving the September 20th, 2025 meeting minutes, the directors and subcommittee reports as distributed, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes have it and the motion is adopted. The September 20th, 2025 meeting minutes, the directors and subcommittee reports are adopted as distributed. We'll go on to the Business Committee report. The following tribal members have passed away since we all last met: Brandon Watt Tiger, Gary Leroy Wheeler, Alberta Red Eagle. Please lift these Quapaw families and all families in your prayers and let us join in a moment of silence. Gunagay. We do have a few announcements. Vice Chair McKibben, would you please provide an update on the Indigenous Peoples Day at First American Museum?
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chair, gladly. On this past Monday, on the 13th, on Monday, Joey and I were fortunate enough to be able to attend the Indigenous Peoples Day. First of all, I want to thank Barry Linda for going down on Sunday and doing the chalk art. It was amazing. If you haven't seen a picture yet, it's an amazing collaboration. He kind of combined the work of 3 different folks that submitted ideas for the T-shirt contest that they were having. And those 3 members are Brittany Cuevas, Jennifer Ray, and Mary McCarty. They submitted their ideas, and Barry kind of combined those into I don't know, an amazing collaboration is all I can describe it as. He used his talents and combined with theirs, and it was used for the T-shirt, and they had little bags down there as well. So if you have not seen that, that was pretty amazing. We got to play Indian football, 2 games at 10:30 in the morning, and then at 2 in the afternoon. We had several folks go down for that, so we got to play some Indian football. The men fortunately won, but I don't see that lasting for much longer because we got some young Quapaw women that are pretty salty out there. So if you haven't seen J.O.'s daughter and Rayleigh Ellick and who else, Joey, am I missing?
Nikita.
Yeah, Nikita.
Layden's little girl.
So those 3 young ladies are going to be a force here in a few years for the young men to reckon with. So, but it was a great time. Some actual folks joined in from other nations across Oklahoma, a handful of folks. So we had a great time and enjoyed it. It was finally getting through the soreness. So. And then I'll touch on that critical minerals just briefly. On September 23rd through 25th, the Environmental Department hosted a critical minerals conference at Downstream, Trenton's department, and then Tammy Arnold and then Craig Creeman and Tim Kent and several others. They put on hosted an amazing conference talking about critical minerals that are still possibly left in the mining, in the Superfund site. There's lots of zinc, possibly some germanium, some gallium, some cobalt. It's still in the early phases of discussion, but there's possibilities that some of these minerals that are left over there can be responsibly mined in environmentally sound ways to maybe benefit some of the landowners who still have some of these minerals. So like I said, it's still in the early stages, and there was nations across the country that participated, and then from the BIA. So there's several folks that came and participated in that critical minerals conference, and it was really informative. So thank you.
Thank you. Member Mercer, would you please provide an O-gah-pah Tikita project update?
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. Update there would be, as of probably the end of next week, we will have the obligation completed on the grant. We will have 20 homes completed and occupied. So that leaves 10 more homes, which are not a part of the grant, although we had extra grant money and we're building and finishing out 10. Those 10 homes are in various stages of completion, and we expect the whole addition development to be completed by April of next year, and that is the date that we were given to have the first 20 homes completed. So we will have, by April next year, we hopefully will have 30 Quapaws in new housing. Yeah. Thank you.
Yay. Member Gibbswater, would you please give an update on the powwow grounds and longhouse improvements?
Yeah, on the Beaver Creek project, still waiting we plugged in a different form of layering for the creek walls called gabion baskets. That way we're able to address a larger EPA issue and remediation that deals with Beaver Creek later down the road. Last month we had a meeting between some of the BC, our project management, our facilities, our EPA team, our Trenton, and a couple members of his team, along with Buddy and a few others. And we were trying to find a better way, because I heard some of your guys' concerns about the concrete walls or any kind of concrete in there, but unfortunately it's hard to keep any erosion out unless you put something hard down on the walls, and you can't prevent damage down here. The best we can do is mitigate the damage. But those gabion baskets are really just big wire baskets full of shot rock. be able to pick it up and move it out of the way when the time comes to remediate the creek and put it back. And it allows vegetation to come through. So still waiting on the final change scope numbers to that to come through from Native Strategies and a 3D rendering that I said that I was going to produce and show to the Culture Committee and the Elders Committee. And that's pretty much it. So other than that, all the other reports came back from it, and we're just right there on the finish line looking at it. As far as Longhouse goes, we're still waiting on the propane tank hookup, couple benches, couple of tables, and we're right there on that finish line as well. So hopefully here in the coming months, here pretty soon, before it turns off too cold, we can sit down, have a dinner, and relight the fire in there, get going again in our Longhouse. But other than that, that's pretty much it.
Thank you.
There.
Member Buffalo, would you please give an update on O-gah-pah coffee?
Yes, Madam Chair. Hopefully it dispels some rumors about selling the coffee company. We now have an occupant in one of the two bays where the coffee company was located. And for the first time, the nation is now receiving income or rent and equipment instead of operating at a material loss over $150,000 this year, last fiscal year, which just ended. We did not sell Quapaw Coffee Company. The limited liability company and intellectual property remains with the nation if at a future date we decide to resume operation. I'll reiterate, we did not sell Quapaw Coffee Company. But any company cannot operate at a loss of $150,000 a year. So it was our choice to shut her down temporarily, and if the future looks bright, we'll open her back up.
Thank you, Member Buffalo. Secretary Treasurer Valier, would you please address the subcommittee vacancies?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Resident Housing Committee is currently seeking interested parties to serve on the committee. To serve on this committee, you need to be a resident in any of the Quapaw Nation's rental houses. It is not limited to elder or O-gah-pah ticketed tenants. This committee is for all Quapaw Nation rental home tenants. If you are interested in serving on the Rental Resident Housing Committee, please send an email to brent.devine@quapawnation.com along with a statement of how you feel you can contribute to the Resident Housing Committee, as well as all appropriate contact information. The deadline for applying for the Resident Housing Committee is end of business Friday, October 31st. This announcement will go out on social media as well. Ganagay.
Would you also provide an update on the United Indian Nations of Oklahoma and tribal finance meetings you attended?
Certainly, Madam Chair. I'll go over Oklahoma Tribal Finance Consortium first. Earlier this month, I had the honor and privilege of attending Oklahoma Tribal Financial Consortium. Say that 10 times real fast. The topics of interest I participated in included intertribal commerce in Oklahoma, tribal health care, workforce development planning, state small business credit initiative, resources for driving economic development, topics in tribal finance and accounting, tribal nations in international commerce, wealth management for a strong financial future, and staying ahead in cybersecurity. And let me tell you, my brain was full after all of that. I was able to make several contacts with other professionals of whom the Quapaw Nation could potentially benefit from doing business with. One important topic was discussed is the potential benefit of Oklahoma tribes collaborating and working together to build data centers in different locations around Oklahoma. The tribes could assist each other with off-site data backups and data recovery in the event of a cybersecurity incident. Ultimately, I felt my time in attendance at this conference was very productive and informative. United Indian Nations of Oklahoma is another conference that I had the privilege of attending this month. This conference was also full of useful information that could be beneficial to the Quapaw Nation. The topics of discussion included Oklahoma State Question 836, National Congress of American Indians. Discussions between tribal representatives and the Department of Interior on the budget for 2026. Challenges facing tribal law enforcement and the increased use of drones for criminal activity. How the U.S. government's budget process for fiscal year 26 could affect Indian country. The Tribal Interior Budget Council biennial process and changes in the Indian healthcare system, Warrior Up to Vote campaign, the Oklahoma Workforce Commission, and the Federal Terror Act, H.R. 3654. Again, with a full brain, I was able to make some contacts and could potentially benefit that could potentially benefit the Quapaw Nation. A couple of those contacts have already been passed on to our Department of Public Safety Executive Director. The Business Committee has looked into the Terror Act and will be sending a letter of support for this House bill. If you would like more information on Oklahoma State Question 836, please get with me. I will be happy to share with you where you can find that information. And on a personal note, I personally will be supporting this Oklahoma State question. It has to do with voting rights.
Thank you so much. Member Davis, would you please give an update on the EPA consultation we attended?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. On October 2nd, the Quapaw Nation, represented by its Business Committee and Resource Management and Cultural Divisions and outside legal counsel Drummond Woodson, met with EPA Region 6 officials to discuss the upcoming submission of Oklahoma's 303D impaired water list. The nation emphasized its longstanding commitment to environmental stewardship, particularly the protection of water quality across tribal lands. Quapaw Nation representatives expressed concern about the potential impacts of the state's listings on culturally and ecologically significant water bodies within the Quapaw Reservation. They reiterated their request to Oklahoma Department of Environmental Quality to designate all waters within the reservation as culturally significant waters, noting that DEQ has agreed to list 5 such water bodies in its next standards update and to collaborate on identifying additional ones. The nation stressed that any omission of these waters from the impaired list would be addressed through formal comment and consultation, and they expect EPA to give proper weight to tribal input during its review process. A major focus of the discussion was the jurisdictional clarity under the under the Safe, Accountable, Flexible, Efficient Transportation Equity Act of 2005, also known as the SAFE-T, and the implications for water bodies flowing through tribal trust and allotment lands. The Quapaw Nation requested clarification on how EPA would determine which water bodies fall under Oklahoma's jurisdiction and which are excluded. EPA confirmed that it will take no action on waters that flow through tribal trust or allotment lands, recognizing tribal jurisdiction over these areas. The nation also raised concerns about whether Oklahoma's list adequately reflects the water quality impacts of the Tar Creek Superfund site, warning that gaps in impairment listings could undermine EPA's remediation planning. Additional issues raised included the nation's interest in pursuing treatment as state, TAS status for water quality standards and certifications, the lack of response to recent tribal comments on EPA's water quality certification for Army Corps permits, and EPA's decision to stop defending the tribal reserved rights rule in court. The nation also requested an explanation for EPA's withdrawal from its cooperating agency role in the FERC Grand River Dam relicensing process. To support continued coordination, several action items were agreed upon. EPA will send geospatial mapping files and supporting data to the Quapaw Nation for review and confirmation of water bodies flowing through tribal trust and allotment lands. This will help ensure that jurisdictional boundaries are accurately reflected in the impaired waters list. Additionally, EPA committed to organizing a multi-region, multi-state, and tribal meeting to discuss cumulative water quality impacts and jurisdictional coordination across the affected area. The Quapaw Nation reaffirmed its intent to submit written comments on the impaired waters list and expressed interest in technical coordination with EPA on defining and protecting culturally significant waters. Both parties agreed to maintain active engagement throughout the review and approval process, with the shared goal of protecting water quality and tribal resources in and around the Quapaw Reservation. Ganagay.
Thank you, Member Davis. Regarding the efforts on the federal government reducing its side as well as the government shutdown, there are really no changes to report yet. All of this is dependent upon how long the federal government shutdown continues, but we actively continue to monitor the situation closely, and we'll be sure to get that information out. Thus far, it hasn't had any impact yet. Earlier this month, I attended a Missing and Murdered Indigenous People Roundtable hosted by A.G. Drummond, where all Oklahoma tribes were invited. I had an opportunity to discuss our preventative measures here in Quapaw, including our school resource officers that are with both Commerce as well as the Quapaw schools, as well as our multiple juvenile programs. The Quapaw Nation Business Committee have called 3 consecutive special general council meetings to occur on Sunday, November 2nd at the Downstream Pavilion. The purpose of the special general council is to reconsider 3 specific motions passed July 4th, 2025, based on their legality per the governing resolution, practicality, and implications to the Quapaw Nation. In addition, alternatives and next steps will be proposed. The first motion was covered officials are to include executive directors, general managers, management, directors, supervisors, and human resources to become subject to the Code of Ethics. The second motion, appointed elected committee members or commissioners are prohibited from sitting on the Ethics Commission. The third motion, authorize the Quapaw Nation Tax Commission to tax our casinos at 10% and for that to be paid to all tribal members 18 and above as a gift the first week of December annually. We encourage everyone to participate and come prepared, so the meeting materials have been posted on the tribal website and social media. In addition, postcards are in the mail to all Quapaw households. There is no open forum. No other matters beyond the purpose for which the meeting has been called can be brought forward. The November 2nd Special General Council will commence at 9 a.m. Breakfast and lunch will be available. A gas card will be provided to those tribal members who participate in the Special General Council, and we look forward to seeing you all there. Just in case you need it, the room block code at Downstream is SPGCOUN. And based on yesterday's check, there are still rooms available. And if additional rooms are needed, we will expand the size of the room block. Just a couple of past events that have occurred over this last month. There was a Oklahoma Hunter Education course that was led by the Quapaw Nation Marshal Service that was a great success. There were youth program classes September the 27th and 8th through October the 11th. The youth program is keeping momentum going by continuing to host a variety of culturally based classes for our children. Early Quapaw Peyoteism in the Native American Church presentation by Dr. Dan Swan. The event was hosted by the Quapaw Tribal Ancestry Program, the Quapaw Nation Business Committee, Native American Church, and Library. October the 10th, there was the Constitution Town Hall. They also have an upcoming virtual meeting. But on October the 10th, Professor Elizabeth Reese and some of our students from Stanford Law School were in town for a town hall meeting with the nation. I just want to make sure everybody was clear, the next Constitution Committee meeting will be virtual on Tuesday, October 21st at 6:30 p.m. All are encouraged to attend, and the link can be accessed on the nation's website. On October the 13th, there was the First American Museum Indigenous Peoples Day, which Vice Chair McKibben already shared with us. When there was just this last Wednesday night, there was an event in Fort Smith. It's called the Best of River Valley, and it was held, and Quapaw Nation received an award for economic development with Representative Matt Duffield, the state of Arkansas, taking a piece of Betty Gadke's pottery as an honored award at the event, with Betty being honored with her contribution. Thank you. The last farmers market was yesterday, October the 17th. In terms of upcoming events, there are quite a few, especially since we're entering into some big holidays. First, Warm a Child's Heart Fall and Winter Clothing Donation Drive. That's October the 1st to December the 1st. The Juvenile Affairs Department is hosting this from now until December the 1st. They're requesting new or gently used tops, pants, hoodies, jackets, coats, and sweaters to get those kiddos ready for winter. They're also seeking new socks, undergarments, gloves, and stocking caps. Drop-off locations are at the Cahota Center, Administration Building, and the Title VI Building. For any questions or even monetary donations, please contact the Juvenile Affairs Manager, Ms. Tiffany Hembry. The Elders' first annual yard sale is today, October the 18th. So they're having their first annual yard sale today from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Sorry about the rain. So hopefully it's not a washout. The housing neighborhood is located, of course, at 200 East 10th and 11th Street. Local College and University Tribal Appreciation Day. There are a couple of them on October the 18th and November the 15th at NEO A&M College in Miami, and they're hosting their annual Tribal Appreciation Day today. And MSSU in Uga'xpa, Missouri will be hosting their Native American Heritage Day on November the 15th. Everyone is invited to attend these football games where they'll have a recognition and dedication to Native American tribes. Next Monday, Domestic Violence Awareness Walk. Family Services is in collaboration with the Quapaw Fitness Center is hosting their Love Doesn't Hurt Domestic Violence Awareness Walk from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the Quapaw Nation Fitness Center. And the first 100 participants will receive a free t-shirt. The design really is nice. There is a Quapaw Lunch and Learn, October 21st and 28th. This is the language department. They're excited to announce the return of the Lunch and Learn style language sessions. These classes will be held every Tuesday from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. at the Native American Church Summer House in Quapaw. These sessions will focus on harvest and Halloween themes, and they invite you to join them as they share a meal while learning the Quapaw language together during the lunch hour. They'll provide meals for up to 20 people, but class size will not be limited, so feel free to bring a friend. Please note that the food will be available on a first-come, first-served basis, and if you're interested, mark your calendars for the last two remaining classes on October the 21st and 28th. Then on October the 22nd, there's the Northeastern Tribal Health System and Quapaw Nation's Mobile Integrated Health are teaming up for the yearly flu shot clinic. The event is scheduled for October the 22nd from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Title VI building, and they'll be giving free flu shots and a swag bag, and you have to be 18 years old or higher to participate. Quapaw Nation Higher Education Funding Resource classes will be held on Wednesdays, October 22nd, 29th, and November the 5th. Higher Ed Department is hosting a series of free public financial education classes, which started on October 8th. These classes will be held on Wednesdays starting at 6:30 and continue until November 5th. Each session will cover a different topic to help you better understand and manage your finances and plan for the future. For best results, all classes are recommended. The classes will be held here in the community building, and they can also be attended virtually. To register, please contact the Higher Education Department. The Children's Halloween Party is October the 23rd, and that will be held from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. It'll be held at both the Fitness Center, Title VI building, and outside, so please dress accordingly. This event is open to the public. They'll be having snacks, drinks, games, and prizes galore. CCDF always does such a great job. Cancer Awareness Chili Feed is October the 24th. The annual Cancer Awareness Fundraiser is being held on October 24th at the Farmers Market from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. They'll be serving chili, a dessert, and a drink for $10. They will be selling t-shirts for $20, and they'll be having a silent auction, which includes a downstream basket valued at $750, a UFC champion belt signed by Maisha Tate, Bricktown Brewery gift cards, a PXG Hellcat ZT putter, retailing for $250, alongside a Saracen Casino gift bag full of goodies, and a Nordic coffee maker valued at $1,200, plus much more. Donations are still being accepted and are greatly appreciated for this generous cause. For more information, please contact Jamie McNeely. The youth program Rosette and Moccasin class, that'll be there are a couple of them, October 25th and 26th, and then on November 8th and 9th. The Quapaw Nation Youth Program is hosting a Rosette class on October 25th and 26th from noon to 3 p.m. Then, in preparation for Rock Your Mocks on November 15th, they've scheduled another Southern-style moccasin class for November 8th and 9th from noon to 4. All classes will take place at the Cahota Center and open to ages 5 to 24. No prior experience is necessary and all supplies will be provided. Parents and guardians are encouraged to participate alongside their youth. These opportunities are made possible by our youth director, Kristen Keys, and are generously sponsored through a federal SAMHSA grant. To register, please contact the Family Services Youth Department. The next meeting of the Cybersecurity Planning Committee will be held on the 30th of this month from 6 to 8 p.m. at the conference room in the administration building. This meeting will be open to the public, but unfortunately space is limited, so Zoom attendance is preferred for public attendance. And the Zoom link and agenda are out on the website right now. So website comment feedback deadline. So we're looking for tribal member feedback on how to make our tribal website easier to navigate and much more effective. And we're soliciting that feedback by November the 1st as a part of our ongoing commitment to serve tribal members with clear, accessible, and modern communication tools. Please send all suggestions to website feedback@quapawnation.com. The Powwow Committee is holding a t-shirt contest, and that deadline is right around the corner on November the 1st. The first place winner will have their design printed on the Powwow t-shirts, and the winner of $500, and the second through fourth place entries will be displayed at the event. The deadline to submit, again, is November the 1st, and applications are now available in person and online. Then again, we've got the November 2nd Special General Council meeting coming up. The Quapaw Language Department is now accepting applications for the upcoming corn husk doll making class series. Classes will be held November 5th, 12th, and 19th from 6 to 7 p.m. in the Robert Whitebird Cultural Center. Sign up using an online form for enrollment. A link to the form is posted on the quapawlanguage.org website by November the 3rd. It's family-oriented for parents and children of all ages and skill levels. No previous knowledge of the Quapaw language is required to attend. Please enroll only if you're able to attend all 3 classes, and it's limited to 20 adults and their children. The Quapaw Nation's Veterans Dinner is November the 7th, and Quapaw tribal veterans and Quapaw Nation veterans that are employees are receiving personal invitations to attend the evening of entertainment and dinner to honor and thank those who have served in the armed forces that have defended the United States. There is a food distribution. There's another one coming up. The Food Sovereignty Program and Cattle Company are hosting another food distribution. Sign-ups will open on Monday, October the 20th, and end on Friday, November the 21st at 4 p.m. Each household will receive a package that includes 10 pounds of bison, 5 pounds of beef. Distribution will take place during the week of December 8th through 13th, and the program is available only to tribal members who are head of household. STEM Team and Family Services fundraiser is December the 5th. Those folks have teamed up together for a joint fundraiser. They'll be having a baked potato bar lunch and silent auction fundraiser on December the 5th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the farmer's market. They'll be serving baked potato with toppings, side salad, brownie, and water. There's no set price, and your donation makes a huge difference. All proceeds go towards supporting the educational initiatives for our youth and help complete a living playground and a therapeutic garden for the Family Services Safe Homes. They are currently seeking donations for the silent auction, and those can be dropped off at the Higher Education Office. And we encourage you to please come out and support these 2 great causes. The Children's Christmas Party is December the 13th. That'll be held at the Fitness Center, and that's from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. for ages 0 to 18. The Elders Christmas Dinner is December the 20th. The Wisdom Keepers are hosting the Elder Christmas Party on that Saturday, starting at 3 p.m. for social hour, followed by dinner at 4:30 at the Downstream Pavilion. Invites will be sent to elders who are 65 years of age in the very near future. Please be sure to RSVP for the event. Just a reminder, the Low Income Energy Assistance Program, that's ongoing. So those that are interested, the application numbers, they want to ensure that all eligible individuals are aware of this opportunity. The applications are available online, and hard copies can be picked up at the Title VI building, admin building, or the community building. Please get your address updates in. The nation wants to make sure that we have a current address for all enrolled tribal members. Quapaw Nation event notification system is ongoing. I know some people on the BC have been very successful with registering. I happen to have an error between the seat and the keyboard. I'm having difficulty with it. But you can actually go out and hit out on O-Guah-Pah and click on the Notify Me button to sign up for alerts by text, email, or phone call. And it actually works. So on to the casino financials regarding Quapaw Casino, and these are their August results. It was a very good month for Quapaw Casino. So for that month, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, EBITDA totaled $481,000 with a margin of 22.8%. And that's really good in terms of the average in the casino industry. August results exceeded the budget expectations by $198,000 and represents a small increase of $43,000 from August of last year. And we're basically for fiscal year 2025, they're currently sitting at $4.34 million, which is 122.8% of the first 11 months of the fiscal year 2025 budget. That is a remarkable result. August, they received the 6th payout from Flint Co. They were paid $808,000 on Thursday, September the 18th, and the majority of the payments from material supplied vendors have also been paid. So Quapaw Casino is doing good. So Downstream Casino and Resort, their September numbers just came out yesterday. So for the month of September, EBITDA totaled $7.3 million with a margin of 41.3%. So that exceeds the casino industry average. So it's really good. EBITDA totaled $24.1 million with a margin of 44.3 million. Our budgeted expectations for fourth quarter were exceeded by $1.2 million and were $3.6 million more than the fourth quarter 2024 EBITDA of $20.5 million. Total net revenue for September of 25 was $17.6 million. And the net revenue does represent a small increase from September of the prior year. Compared to September, total net revenue was an increase of $1.1 million. Debt reduction during September of 2025 increased with the new required quarterly principal payment of $6.5 million plus an additional $1 million principal repay. For the first time in Downstream's history, our outstanding debt balance is below $100 million for the first time in Downstream's history. This is a testament to the pivotal refinancing that happened in December of 2021, our employee commitment to delivering great customer service, the DDA, and our steadfast focus on deleveraging the casino. Our next quarterly mandatory payment of $6.5 million is due on December the 31st, and we're going to add to that an additional $1 million to keep on the right track. So kudos to Downstream. Regarding Saracen, let's see. Their net gaming revenue for September was comparable to prior year, although down 2%. The number one revenue source continues to be slots. Sportsbook volumes continue to outpace prior year, and the win finished down to prior year by 30.1% due to current year hold of 8.2 compared to prior year of 12.7. EBITDA for the year estimated to be about $74 million, once finalized compared to $70.4 million prior year and $70.3 million in 2023. Impressive performance in fiscal year 2025 when considering the added expenses as operations ramp up for the opening of the hotel and event center. Saracen achieved 51.8% of the net gaming revenue for Central Arkansas for the month of August, which is an increase from 50.9% for the prior year. For the year, market share stands at 52.2% of the gaming revenue for Central Arkansas compared to 50.7% the prior year. And this occurred even though Oaklawn has had a hotel and event center for several years and finished their 6-month horse racing season in early May. There has been considerable progress on the development of the hotel and event center. From a budget perspective, the development is about 79.4% of the guaranteed maximum price for the general contractor. Most of the funding, almost 70%, has been generated from cash flow from operations. Utilization of the revolving line of credit to supplement cash flows has started with every effort to minimize the number and amount of draws. Updates on when the facility will open to the public will be forthcoming, with a preliminary date for a complement of rooms in January. That concludes the business committee report. Gonna We're going to go on to the subcommittee reports. O-gah-pah Wisdom Keepers. Grace?
Yes, good morning. We had a meeting on October the 2nd. We saw a film, Stories from the Homeland, had to do about elders and their memories of powwows in the past. The pecan wood gift from Angel Mounds Museum has been placed in the Quapaw Museum. It will be presented to General Council at a future meeting. We did approve Christmas checks for enrolled members age 65 plus as of December 31st, 2025. And Melanie is working on our Christmas dinner. On October the 10th, 3 elders did meet with Professor Reeves and students from Stanford Law School. Sandy Beer will be honored November 5th at the AARP Oklahoma American Indian Elders Honors. Our next meeting will be November 6th at 1 p.m. in the museum classroom. Gonna gay.
Thank you so much. Cultural Committee, Barbara?
Good morning. We had our cultural committee meeting yesterday, and the top priority of discussion was the spring gathering coming up. That has been planned for March the 28th. There is a flyer that should be online somewhere for everybody to see that has the activities on it and so on and so forth of what's planned. And it is planned tentatively to be at the powwow grounds down at the arena with the Easter egg hunt, and the games and blow-ups and bouncy houses and things like that for the children, as well as the children's powwow that evening and other activities, races, and so on and so forth during the day. So just keep in mind and keep watch for activities on the March 28th spring gathering. We also discussed the museum open house, the Christmas open house, and that has been decided for December the 14th from 2 to 5. There will also be a memorial dinner for Sunny Glass here at the community building at noon that day. So if you choose to, you can stop by the open house on your way home from 2 to 5 and see what the museum has to offer for your open house that day. We also discussed, we received information from different individuals across the nation, actually, for items that they have the that may be antiques or historically Quapaw. And so if anybody we have received some photos from a gentleman, and it is a Singer sewing machine, an old-timey Singer sewing machine, and it has Quapaw on it. It's actually printed right on the sewing machine. But our individuals in the cultural programs on site have looked into it, and no one can find anything or any company or anything that was developing or producing Quapaw sewing machines of any kind. So if anybody knows anything about that, please get with Everett and let him know. But so far, we have not found out anything. And of course, the gentleman wanted to know if we wanted to buy it, but there's no need in buying something that has no tribal connections or anything like that. So if you do, speak quickly so we can move on from that. We also received information from a lady who has a Quapaw canoe that she and we do remember when they manufactured those over in North Miami. So we're going to see if there's any connection with the tribe and the Quapaw canoe manufacturing company. But so far as I know, in my knowledge of it, there is not any. So moving on from that, we did also talk about the fall gathering next year. The fall gathering this year seems to have been so successful, and individuals keep telling us about how what a good time they had and how wonderful it was. So we will probably tentatively plan on continuing that next year and hopefully making it an annual event for an old time powwow in the fall. Our next cultural committee meeting will be November the 14th at the classroom at 1 p.m. So everyone's invited that would like to attend. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Constitution Committee, can we unmute Vance Gilmore?
Good morning. Hope everyone's doing well.
Good
Can
morning.
you hear me? Can you hear me, Chairman Supinall?
Yes, sir.
Great. Good morning to all of you. I just want to echo what Chairman Supinall said. We had a good day on October 10th with the group from Stanford. There were several people on staff that were instrumental in really helping making that day work, particularly Brent and Barry. They were extremely helpful. In addition, on the business committee, Linda D. and Joey were very helpful, and I appreciate that. And as well, Carissa in the judicial system. It was just a very instrumental day for the group. I think they learned a great deal about who the Quapaw Nation is, and I think that will help them as they work on the draft of the Constitution. We are meeting every Tuesday at 6:30. The link to those meetings is on the tribal website, and we encourage participation. We just really would love to have as much input as possible. We're on a fairly quick time frame. The group from Stanford will have their revisions and suggestions done by December 12th. So we have about 7 more weekly meetings, and what we're doing is we're looking at particular aspects of the Constitution each week, addressing those and giving Stanford feedback. As well, the previous Constitution Committee and the current Constitution Committee will meet with the group from Stanford virtually about 3 or 4 weeks before their final draft is done, so we can give feedback to that. Ani Johnson Jennings is the teaching assistant for the class and has been very instrumental and helpful in that process. So we're moving along, and my hope is that at the December 20th Business Committee meeting, we will have some work for you to share some work with you from Stanford. So thank you.
Thank you, Vance. Sure do appreciate it. Election Committee, Frank Frazier.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, November the 2nd, special general council. But for the election committee, we have some exciting news. This will be the first time, hopefully, we're planning on it, we get to use our new voting devices. So, yes, that is our plan at this time. We're meeting with our brainchild of the electronic system. Monday, he's going to help train us up on everything. And he's been a great help to us, and we really appreciate him. But hopefully, everything will go good. This will be the first time using it. It's like every time something comes up new, it may take a little adjustment to get used to, but we're looking forward to this. This is something that we've been needing for a while. There's been times where we've really had our fingers crossed, hoping our old system would not break down because there was no tech support for that old system. Other than that, November the 2nd, everybody come. It was great news to hear about the payout down to less than 100 million on the downstream. That is amazing. But that's all I have at this time. So we'll see everybody on November the 2nd with the new voting devices.
Thank you, Frank. Mikhail Whitecrow, anything on the Cybersecurity Planning Committee?
Yes, Madam Chair. The Cybersecurity Planning Committee, as you mentioned, is having another meeting on the 30th of this month at 6 o'clock. Public attendance is encouraged on Zoom. We'll still welcome you to come in. It's going to be kind of tight in the conference room. We hope this will be the final meeting, and we will then have it to the Business Committee for adoption for the start of the next year, to have a grace period to March, and then inside the draft itself, we'll have another 1 season, 3-month grace period to give us a 6-month time period to ease into the cybersecurity changes. You're welcome to contact me if you guys want a copy of any of the documents and if you want to provide any written feedback before that meeting. And we thank you and everyone who else has participated and given their feedback in the past.
Thank you, Mikhail. Yeah, so the 6 o'clock. Any other subcommittees? Grounds, powwow, anyone? Okay. Let's go on to the executive director reports. A couple months ago, a number of requests were placed to have the executive directors or to provide some sort of a summarized version of the executive director reports. Wanted to let everybody know that there are printed copies of all the executive director reports available at Brent Devine's desk. But we are inviting each one of the executive directors to provide a very brief update summary of the major things that are occurring in their respective areas. Eric Boone, CFO. And we don't know if the microphone does or does not work.
I think it does now.
Perfect.
So I'm not going to read my report in its entirety, but I'm going to highlight some things. September marked the end of our fiscal year 25. General fund receipts were 52.5 million. Operational expenses for the general fund were 42.3 million. And our total expenses for our tribal member health benefit, one of our biggest benefits for our tribal members, was 6.8 million. So that's a significant number there. Our tax revenue for the month of September was 165,000. One other thing I want to point out is some of you may have experienced this already. Back in August, we started the transition to a new tag software. So anybody that's coming in, we are working through that process, trying to work the bugs out of it, get some specifics maneuvered within the software itself. We're working with the vendor on that pretty much daily. So if you're coming in the next really month or two, there may be some delays just because of the process that we're working through right now with the new software. So I just wanted to bring that up to alleviate maybe some frustration, misunderstanding. Like, you know, if you were used to coming in, renewals going quickly, they might not be as quick. We're still trying to do them as quick as possible until we work through the software glitches. So appreciate your patience there. That's all I have.
Thank you, Eric. Trenton Stand, Executive Director, Resource Management.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
See, as Eric did, I'm not going to go over everything because we'd be here till probably 2 o'clock. But I will highlight a little bit of everything, or the department side. So, to kind of coattail on Business Committee Member Davis's report, the environmental office has been working. I'm just gonna hold this thing. Looks like it's too low. The environmental office has been kind of heading the way on some of the water quality communications between Region 6 and Region 7. And that also transitions over to triennial reviews that the states have been doing between Oklahoma, Kansas, and Missouri. So we've been, our environmental team, staying in communication with Department National Resources within the state to ensure that, you know, all the rivers that come through, or Spring River in particularly, comes through our reservation, and we should be having the same standards upstream as we are downstream, and then ultimately ensuring that it's protective, as Chair Supernall mentioned, of our cleanup standards for Tar Creek. So, and as Vice Chair McKibben mentioned, we had the critical minerals workshop. We've done some additional sampling just through partners at a small scale in-house, because we had applied for some funding and did not receive that. Ultimately, that was due to just a lack of understanding from the funding agency of what all we actually do here. So we are very hopeful. Through that critical minerals workshop, we had representatives from the Bureau of Indian Affairs, the side that was funding it, in attendance, and so they have more funding in November that we're going to be eligible for. They're very hopeful to see our application this next time around, since they was here and then understood in further detail what all we do with EPA, the Superfund side itself, and what's available out there. So that's, I'm very optimistic for that next submittal that'll be sometime in November that we're already planning for. QSA for 2025 exceeded production planned, so that was a good plug for them. They've done great in 2025, and they're constantly, Ed Rogers is texting me a while ago in the back, still working on trying efficiency models and things for equipment. So 2026 looks very good for them as well. Quapaw Cattle Company, through the recommendations of the Director of Agriculture, Mitch Albright, and the support of the Business Committee, had a positive production year, and we just look forward to 2026 to further grow that department, still staying operating in a positive. Forestry has had meetings with the BIA over cooperative agreements and reservation treaty right funding. The government shutdown has kind of hindered that a little bit, just due to obviously nobody being in the office to comment or provide additional comments to our cooperative agreements that's been submitted. But they recently, right before that happened, had some meetings to also be very optimistic to some funding opportunities for basically fuels management within the reservation, and then being able to charge back time for some of those projects, and then being able to assist, you know, other tribes or the BIA itself in controlled burns. I think there's been some questions on the realty side over fee to trust. In particular, the farmers market, that's the Dallas Wall Burgraff property that we combined. The fee to trust in itself historically has been a lengthy process. Since changes went into effect the beginning of 2025, January, didn't trickle down to realty offices until a few months later, April or so. They've actually streamlined fee to trust, but you still have to meet preliminary title opinions, the review with the solicitor's office. So that site particularly had a deed restriction filed in perpetuity from a former owner I think it was prior to 1940, that basically said what you could build and, or if you built anything on that property, what it had to be built out of. That the Bureau of Indian Affairs would not accept that deed restriction on that property without it being removed. Legally, an owner can't do that just arbitrarily, put a deed restriction on there forever. But to fix that, we've had to file a quiet title suit through district court. So it's going through those actions before that fee to trust application can be approved. The Realty Office also completed their lease bid sale for leases coming due 2026, January 2026. So hopefully the government opens back up quickly so they can get all the leases submitted and approved in a timely manner. Mechanic shop's doing well. They're just further trying to broaden what the services they can provide in-house. And they're staying on top of keeping our equipment up in production because QSA is the lion's share of the mechanic shop work. Processing plant 2 is also trying to expand, or has been working to through 2025, expanding services not only to new clients but existing clients as well. They through the purchase of a new roll stock, we had our first large order that we met the deadline for on snack sticks, and that was 110,000 snack sticks that was done, and that deadline was met for just one client. The other technical side that they're working through with a current provider of product is we can keep more of their business if we meet some of their specs on grind that requires a metal detection system, which we have, but we have to get on board with their specs, their film size, and so we're been working through trying to get that all up to snuff with them, which has been quite the feat and multiple meetings because the original specs that was provided was not what they were using at other places. Of course, this is the company saying this is what we need, this is what others plants are doing, but they didn't have the right die specs for the form on the grind. So it's been kind of a process. Food sovereignty, they've been working to, the bees have been really successful for them. They can't keep honey. Once it goes on the shelf, it's gone same day just about. So they're working to expand that and have over 2025 and look to continue that in 2026. And the big push for them right now, much as the cattle companies is being able to produce more product for a longer time. So we're working really hard right now to finish construction projects. So that's been their big push for fiscal year 2026, which is what we're kicking off now. So I think that's everything that I had as quickly as I could provide it. So
Good job, Trenton. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Appreciate it. Executive Director, Quapaw Facilities Authority, Jerry Helms.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I was wanting to let you know that our department, we take care of 22 plus buildings and several properties. So we're busy constantly every day. And we've also been working in coordination with Larry Mercer on the Tika Day housing project. We do all of the electrical and HVAC installation down there, and we oversee the subcontractors that come in. We've been busy for over a year to get working on several grant applications to fund and design work for clean energy projects. And in the next 2 to 4 weeks, we'll start on installation of solar panels on our daycare. our fitness center and the QSA Farmer Market building in uptown in Quapaw. And our roads projects, we're currently looking for funding opportunities for our transportation programs. And I forgot one thing. We're getting ready to install sidewalks in the elder complex, so you will be able to walk to Title VI, the library, and the museum. And as that progresses, I'll be giving you further updates. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Steve Estand, Executive Director, Tribal Member Services.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I want to first, like this, I guess, first start off by updating everyone on changes to the dual membership and ID card. The card will now state ID date and ID expire date because there's been confusion on what that actually is for on the card. The expiration date on the tribal card is only relevant to the function as a valid form of identification. The expiration date ensures that the card is an official ID card that's similar to like a driver's license or a state-issued ID card. The tribal membership itself is not impacted by that expiration date. So like no tribal services should be denied because that date's expired, but it will not be a valid form of ID if your card has an expired expiration date. The card will now also show that you're a registered voter, you're an elder, or you're a veteran. So that's new on the card as well. Carrie in the enrollment department has worked really hard with the communications team, and now there is an online change of address form. So you can go online and update your address and your contact information. And then it will be sent directly to the enrollment department. The family services team, like the chairman said, is putting on a domestic violence awareness walk on Monday, so everybody come out and walk if you can from 8 to 11 at the fitness center. And if you know anyone who needs assistance with creating resumes, applying for jobs, doing job searches, please have them contact the higher education department because they will assist with that under their workforce program. They will actually even help do mock interviews so that then they can, be comfortable during the interview process and going through that as well. I also have the Title VI department is going to be having their elders Halloween party. It will be October 31st at 12:30 at the Title VI building. And they will be dressing up. So come and see. It's going to be a surprise what they're dressed up like. They always go all out. And they're going to have some little surprise things on the tables. So it's going to be kind of a creepy, crawly Halloween over there on the 31st. And lastly, the housing department is currently remodeling 2 of the units. But moving forward, we are going, during the remodel process, all tubs will be removed and replaced with walk-in showers. So our goal is eventually, over time, we're going to every unit will be a walk-in shower instead of a tub for easier access for all the elders. And that is all I have to add to my report.
Thank you, Steva. George Valier, Executive Director, Department of Public Safety.
Good morning.
Good morning.
First, the fire and EMS, they responded to 6 fire calls and 218 medical calls last month. EMS personnel provided standby coverage for multiple high school football games, fall gathering at the Powwow grounds, and the Beach Boy concert at Downstream. The fire marshals issued several special event permits for events at the downstream. They were also called out to assist the ATF on several cases last month. Mobile Integrated Health, the CHR and Community Paramedic Program participated in the monthly health screening event at the Title VI Center and coordinated with NTHS on their health fair last week. CPR instruction was provided to several local daycare centers and Wyandotte schools. The Marshal Service started planning for the 2026 Route 66 Cruise Night. They provided safety coverage at several football games and events at the downstream. They provided 2 active shooter trainings, 1 hunter education course, and we also have 2 marshals deployed to Montana at the request of the BIA and Northern Cheyenne tribes for issues going on up there. And last month we received 1,337 911 calls. Thank you.
Thank you, George. Executive Director Culture, Everett Bandy.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Before I jump into my report, I just wanted to thank Steva for the explanation on the tribal member IDs having an expiration date. I do not have a real ID and recently had to fly, and they will take your tribal identification card as long as it's in date. So I wanted to mention that for those of you who don't realize that it's a very important thing. If you don't have a real ID, you can fly with your tribal ID, and I recently did that. Moving into our division report, the Culture Division achieved several key goals across all of our departments last month in September. Our library was awarded a major federal IMLS enhancement grant worth $149,000. We were very happy to receive that grant because the federal government had canceled these grants and only issued a limited number. And our library was able to achieve one recently that we did not think we were going to be able to get. So we were very happy for that. And our library also hosted the Dan Swan Talk that Chair Supernaw just discussed. Our museum also was able to complete installation of a new point of sale system that we are very happy about. It should speed up our ability to do sales and help us keep better track of where we're at throughout the year. We also saw steady visitation, and we've been planning for updating a cabinet to have some Route 66 stuff for the Route 66 Centennial that's coming up. The Quapaw Historic Preservation Program completed over 200 project reviews last month, continued their federal consultations, and also refined their FY26 training goals. They're going to be seeking some free online college courses on archaeological training. The Language Department continued instruction at the O-Guah-Pah Learning Center and prepared new curriculum for their October and November classes, and continued expanding updates to the online Quapaw Dictionary software, which now includes over half of all known Quapaw nouns. The Language and TIPO Department both worked on some community outreach and major October events. That would be the Indigenous Peoples Day at FAM Museum, which Vice Chair McKibben discussed. That already took place. And they were preparing to participate at Ghost of the Past for Arkansas Post. Unfortunately, due to the federal government shutdown, that event was canceled. It may take place at a later date or may not. Depends on how long the shutdown goes. Looking ahead, our departments are working on actualizing FY26 goals. We're continuing our cemetery preservation work. For those of you who have not seen it advertised online, we have a cemetery preservation activity that takes place every Friday. And we are also working on our winter programming. And we have been finalizing our work for the collaborative transnational exhibit with the K. Ron Lee in the Palace of Versailles. In November, the exhibit at Versailles should open, and we will have Quapaw artifacts in conjunction with Peoria, Choctaw, and Miami tribe artifacts on display at Versailles for about 6 months. That'll complete our first phase of that project, and the museum is working to get funding to move that exhibit, hopefully to be in Oklahoma next year. The full Culture Division report is available online or with Brent. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to provide this summarized report.
Thank you, Everett. Executive Director, O-Guah-Pah Communications and Events, Barry Linda.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
A lot of the events that O-Guah-Pah Communications covers is redundant, but I have to laugh when Mans was talking about the FAM report. It was very, I guess, Quapaw-centric that I had spent 2 days chalking the art I finished it at 9:30. I stood up, took a big breath, and at 9:32, skies opened and water poured down. So I'll have to show you the pictures of that. That's pretty funny. I also would like to discuss the matter of performance enhancing drugs in those girls. They were playing football. I'm just saying I haven't been hit that hard by men in my decades. So the future of women's sports in Quapaw Nation is bright. An overview of O-Guah-Pah Communications. We're just committed to bringing the events and everything to the tribal members and let them know what's going on in the best way possible. In addition, bringing the best foot forward Quapaw Nations in its public presence. We do that through storytelling of tribal members, cultural promotions, targeted engagement online, and events like these. September and October were marked by expanded community engagement, youth and cultural programming, some integrated campaigns that are all meant to amplify tribal sovereignty, heritage, and enterprise development. Some of the things of note is the earned media growth. Our YouTube channel recently became monetized. It's not making a lot of money, but we're at a point to where that type of thing, we're starting to make money on our YouTube channels. A lot of it goes to Johnny's content creation, so hats off to him. How many hours you worked this week already? 58? All right. I remember my first job. Content development, of course, is key in that. The storytelling. We understand that there's so much tradition, pride, everything that goes on in the Quapaw Nation. We're committed to capturing that for prosperity, because once it's gone, it's gone. Another thing, it's not a matter of if, but it's a matter of when something bad will happen in this community. So we're working on a crisis communication readiness, working with Randy Jackson and, of course, George, to figure out what will be the best way to get information out to everybody in the case of a crisis. We're currently starting November layouts for the next post. So if I've spoken to a few of you, like Mr. Crane and everybody, about if you have ideas or if there's something that you'd like to see in the post, of course, we're one step away. Just get a hold of us, let us know, or email us at communications@ogahpahcommunications.com. Mentioned earlier, there should be postcard hitting everybody's mailbox. Has the special GC hit anybody's mailbox in yet? Okay, great. We knew that it was a matter of time. I think that started dropping on Friday. If you haven't got it, you, of course, will be getting that with all the information on. And, of course, Monday is the Love Doesn't Hurt Domestic Walk Violence, and they were talking about the shirts. And there's an example of what you will receive. Working with a lot of these great departments on these great events. This is kind of the calm before the storm before we go into, of course, Native American Heritage Month. We've got all these wonderful events. Veterans will be upon us, and we're committed to working with these different subcommittees on making your events this fall the absolute best that we can make it. Again, if there's any questions, pull aside, ask us, let us know, or email us at communications@ogahpahcommunications.com.
Thank you, Barry. That concludes the executive director reports. We'll go on to reading, correction, and approval of electronic polls. Member Mercer, would you please take the very first one?
Yes, ma'am. This is poll number 45889, and the poll was submitted to culturally significant water request, which we talked about earlier, to the Oklahoma Department of Environmental Quality. This poll is for approving the submission of the culturally significant waters request to Oklahoma Department of Environmental Quality. This will assist in protecting the nation's waterways and the water, which itself is central to the Quapaw Nation. This was sent to a poll because the state needed the information as soon as possible. This poll was approved by a count of 7, and the certification date was 9/22/2025 at 1:07 p.m.
Thank you. Member Buffalo, would you take the next one?
Yes, ma'am. Poll number 45959. Change order 3 to construction agreement. This poll is for authorizing Wena Supanoff, Chair of the Quapaw Nation Business Committee, to sign and execute change order number 3 to the construction agreement. The change order is necessary because of water infrastructure of the industrial park that houses Gelta Center, Emergency Operations Center, Housing Office, C-Store, Quapaw Nation Marshal Service, and the Quapaw Casino needs improvement to the main water service line. The main line needs to be increased from 6-inch to 8-inch. This was sent to a poll to keep from delaying construction. It was approved by a vote of 7-0 and certified on 10/1/2025 at 2:11 p.m.
Vice Chair McKibben, would you please take the third one?
Yes, ma'am. Excuse me. Poll number 46024. This is the authorized lease and use of fee land. And this is for authorizing the lease and use of fee land located outside the Quapaw Nation jurisdiction for a business site lease, and to authorize the chairperson or an authorized representative to execute the lease on behalf of Quapaw Nation. This was sent to a poll to expedite the lease and meet the leasee needs. This was approved 7-0 and certified on October 7th, 2025 at 4 p.m.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and take the next one. It's poll number 46042, proposed amendment to the juror code. This was for approving an amendment which would add persons who are selected to serve as a juror who live more than 75 miles away from the court have the option to get lodging arranged by the nation for the duration of their jury service. This was sent to a poll because of a jury trial scheduled for October 29th through 31st. It was approved unanimously and certified on October 14th, 2025.
Madam Chair, I move that we adopt we approve the polls as presented.
Second.
We have a motion to approve the electronic polls as presented. Business Committee, is there any additional discussion on these? All those in favor of approving the electronic polls as presented, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. The motion carries and the electronic polls are approved. We'll go on to new business. Secretary Treasurer Valier, would you please take letter A?
Certainly, Madam Chair. Resolution number 101825-A, a resolution authorizing the renewal of membership to the National Congress of the American Indians, NCAI, and naming Wena Supanoff as the delegate and Mans McKibben as the alternate delegate. Whereas the Quapaw Nation Business Committee approves the renewal of membership as a member of the Indian Native Government in good standing with the National Congress of American Indians, and whereas the Quapaw Nation continues to meet the requirements for the tribal membership pursuant to Article 3, Member Section B of the Constitution and Bylaws of the NCAI. Now therefore be it resolved that the tribal funds based on the tribal membership dues scheduled in the NCAI Bylaws Article 3, Members Section C2 are authorized to be paid for the NCAI membership. Be it further resolved that based on the tribal enrollment of 6,221 persons, the Quapaw Nation shall have 160 votes in accordance with Article 3, Members, Section B1D, and be it finally resolved that pursuant to Article 3, Members, Section B1B of the NCAI Constitution and Bylaws, the Quapaw Nation designates the following persons to delegate and alternate delegate and instructs them both to become individual members in good standing with NCAI in order to fulfill their responsibilities as official delegate and alternate delegate to the National Congress of American Indians Annual Convention, Executive Council Winter Session, and Mid-Year Conference. Delegate Wena Supanoff, alternate delegate Mans McKibben. Madam Chair, I move to approve resolution number 101825-A.
Second.
We've got a motion to approve resolution 101825-A. Business Committee, is there any discussion? All right, all those in favor of approving Resolution 101825-A, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The motion carries and the Resolution 101825-A is approved. Member Davis, would you please take B?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Resolution number 101825-B, a resolution designating the Quapaw Nation's representatives to the Intertribal Buffalo Council. Whereas the Quapaw Nation wishes to join the Intertribal Buffalo Council, ITBC, for the fiscal year 2026, therefore be it resolved that the Quapaw Nation appoints the following delegate and alternate delegates as the nation's representatives to the ITBC. Delegate Catherine Weena Supernaw, alternate Mitch Albright, Triton Stand, and Brady Crop. Madam Chair, I would so move to adopt resolution number 101825-B.
Second.
Got a motion to approve Resolution 101825-B. Business Committee, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll go to the vote. All those in favor of approving 101825-B, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The motion carries and the resolution 101825-B is approved. Member Gibbswater, would you please take C?
Yes, ma'am. Resolution number 101825-C, a resolution designating the Quapaw Nation representatives to the Indian Gaming Association, IGA. Whereas the Quapaw Nation Business Committee wishes to join the Indian Gaming Association for the year 2026, and whereas IGA is an intertribal association of federally recognized tribes, communities, rancherías, colonies, pueblos, bands, nations, and other federally recognized tribal groups or communities of Indians tribe herein, and whereas the primary purpose of IGA are to, 1, to promote, protect, and preserve the general welfare and interest of Indian gaming tribes through the development of sound policies and practices with respect to the conduct of gaming activities in Indian country. 2, to assist in the dissemination of information to the Indian gaming community, federal government, and the general public on issues related to the conduct of gaming in Indian country. 3, to preserve and protect the integrity of gaming in Indian country. And 4, to maintain, protect, and advocate Indian tribal sovereignty. And whereas the Quapaw Nation meets all the requirements for tribal membership pursuant to Part 5 classes, qualifications, and rights of membership of the IGA bylaws, and therefore be it resolved, Quapaw Nation authorizes the payment of dues for the IGA, and the Quapaw Nation appoints the following delegate and alternate delegate as the nation representatives to IGA. Delegate Weena Supernaw, alternate Linda Valier. Therefore be it resolved, the above appointment will remain in effect for 2026 or until replaced by the nation's governing body. Business Committee also moved to approve resolution number 101825-C.
Second.
Got a motion to approve Resolution 101825-C. Business Committee, is there any discussion? We'll go ahead. All those in favor of approving Resolution 101825-C, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The motion carries. Resolution 101825-C is approved. Member Mercer, would you please take D?
Yes, Madam Chair. Resolution number 101825D. This is a resolution authorizing the Quapaw Nation Business Committee members to conduct business with the Bureau of Indian Affairs. Whereas the Quapaw Nation Business Committee has determined it is in the best interest of the nation to grant authority to the following individuals listed below to conduct business with the Bureau of Indian Affairs. Chairman Catherine Weena Supernaw, whose term expires August 26. Vice Chair Jess McKibben II. Term expires August of 27. Secretary Treasurer Linda Valier. Term expires August 26. Larry Mercer. Term expires August 27. Member Davis. Term expires August of 27. Lloyd Buffalo. Term expires August 26. Member Joey Gibbswater, whose term expires August 27. Therefore be it resolved by the Quapaw Nation Business Committee that the individuals named above are hereby authorized to conduct business with the Bureau of Indian Affairs on behalf of the Quapaw Nation. Therefore, be it resolved, the Quapaw Nation authorizes the payment of dues. Whoops, sorry, that was from the other one on the back. Madam Chair, I so move that we adopt.
All right, we've got a motion to, I'm sorry, I'll go ahead and second it. We've got a motion to approve Resolution 101825-D. Business Committee, is there any additional discussion? All those in favor of approving 101825-D, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The motion carries. Member Mercer, you did such a fine job on D. Keep going.
This would be resolution number 101825E. This is a resolution to establish signature authority of BIA Forms 4432, Eagle Parts application, and other documents of which certification of tribal enrollment, membership, or blood quantum is required. Whereas the Quapaw Nation has contracted their portion of the tribal operation funds from the Bureau of Indian Affairs, Miami agency, and whereas the Quapaw Nation Business Committee recognizes the individuals listed below as having access to and reliable knowledge of the Quapaw Nation's enrollment data, and whereas the Quapaw Nation Business Committee adopts this resolution establishing signature authority on BIA Form 4432, Eagle Parts application, and other documents of which certification of the Quapaw Nation enrollment, membership, or blood quantum is required. Now therefore be it resolved, the Quapaw Nation Business Committee approves the tribal officials and or tribal representative listed below as solely entrusted authority to sign documents requiring confirmation of the Quapaw Nation enrollment, membership, or blood quantum. Therefore, be it further resolved, all signatures are removed, previous signatures are removed. Madam Chair, I so move to adopt.
Got a motion to approve Resolution 101825-E. Business Committee, is there any additional discussion? All those in favor of approving 101825-E, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say no. The motion carries. Resolution 101825-E is approved. Member Mercer, would you please go ahead and take F?
Yes, Madam Chair. Resolution number 101825F. This is a resolution authorizing Quapaw Nation Business Committee members to conduct business with the Office of the Special Trustees. Whereas the Quapaw Nation Business Committee has determined it is in best interest of the nation to grant authority to the following individuals listed below to conduct business with the Office of the Special Trustees. And if I may, I'll skip reading them. It's the Business Committee, all present. So, Madam Chair, I move we adopt resolution number 101825F.
Second.
Got a motion to approve Resolution 101825-F. Business Committee, is there any additional discussion? All those in favor of approving 101825-F, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The motion carries. 101825-F is approved. Member Buffalo, would you please go ahead and take G?
Yes, ma'am. Resolution number 101825-G. A resolution approving the teaming agreement and incorporated work plan with the National Tribal Child Welfare Center for Innovation and Advancement. Whereas the Quapaw Nation's Indian Child Welfare Department, ICW, receives federal grant funding from the Administration for Children and Families within the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and is eligible to receive free technical assistance from the National Tribal Child Welfare Center for Innovation and Advancement, NTCWCIA, and whereas the ICW will benefit from receiving free technical assistance from NTCWCIA regarding policies and procedures, onboarding, professional development, training plans, and foster parent training and supports. Therefore, be resolved, the Quapaw Nation Business Committee hereby approves and authorizes Chairwoman Wina Supinall to sign the attached teaming agreement with NTCWCIA and the incorporated work plan. Madam Chair, I move to adopt resolution number 10-825-G.
Second.
We've got a motion to approve 101825-G. Business Committee, any discussion? All those in favor of approving 101825-G, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The motion carries. Resolution 101825-G is approved. Vice Chairman McKibben, would you please take H and I?
Yes, ma'am. Resolution number 101825H, a resolution authorizing the appointment of one chairperson and secretary along with two members at large for the Quapaw Casino Authority. Whereas the Quapaw Casino Authority was established by the Business Committee pursuant and consistent with its delegated authority from the governing resolution, whereas the Business Committee revised the QCA charter on November 18th, 2023 by Resolution 111823-CC, whereas Section 14 of the QCA charter establishes membership of the authority, qualification, selection, and terms of office, whereas the QCA shall consist of 5 voting members, with each member serving in one of the following positions: chairperson, secretary, treasurer, or member at large. Whereas the Business Committee solicited candidates to serve on the QCA and has selected candidates who are enrolled tribal members and are eligible to serve on the QCA as chairperson, secretary, and 2 members at large. Whereas the Business Committee hereby appoints one chairperson with a term expiring October of 27, one secretary with a term expiring February of 26, 2 members at large with terms expiring October of 27 to the Quapaw Casino Authority as required in Section 14 of the QCA Charter. Therefore, be it resolved that the Business Committee hereby appoints these members: Billy Shapp as chairperson, Hoshi Henry secretary, Brian Hodge treasurer, Kogi Supernaw member at large, and Alan Kaufman member at large, subject to the successful completion of the licensing process for primary management and key employees. Therefore, be it resolved that upon this position they are hereby empowered to perform their duties and conduct business pertaining to the Quapaw Casino Authority. Make a motion to adopt resolution number 101825-H.
We have a motion to approve Resolution 101825-H. Business Committee, is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving Resolution 101825-H, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The motion carries. Resolution 101825-H is approved.
Resolution number 101825-I. This is a resolution authorizing the appointment of one chairperson and secretary along with 2 members at large for the Downstream Development Authority, DDA. Whereas the Downstream Development Authority was established by the Business Committee pursuant to and consistent with this delegated authority from the governing resolution, whereas the Business Committee revised the DDA charter on November 18th by resolution in 2023 with resolution number 111823-BB, whereas Section 114 of the DDA charter establishes membership of authority, qualifications, selection, and terms of office, whereas the DDA shall consist of 5 voting members with each member serving in one of the following positions: chairperson, secretary, treasurer, or member at large. Whereas the Business Committee solicited candidates to serve on the DDA and has selected candidates who are enrolled tribal members and are eligible to serve on the DDA as chairperson, secretary, and 2 members at large. Whereas the Business Committee hereby appoints one chairperson with the term expiring October of 27, one secretary with the term expiring February of 26, and 2 members at large with terms expiring in October of 27 to the Downstream Casino Authority as required in Section 14 of the DDA Charter. Therefore, be it resolved that the Business Committee hereby appoints these members: Billy Shapp as chairperson, Hoshi Henry secretary, Brian Hodge treasurer, Kogi Supernaw member at large, and Alan Kaufman member at large, subject to the successful completion of the licensing process for primary management and key employees. Therefore, be it further resolved that upon this position they are hereby empowered to perform their duties and conduct business pertaining to the Downstream Development Authority. I make a motion to adopt resolution number 101825-I.
Second.
Got a motion to approve Resolution 101825-I. Business Committee, is there any discussion? All those in favor of approving Resolution 101825-I, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The motion carries, and Resolution 101825-I is approved. could we get Billy Schapp to step forward? And IT and Communications, would you be able to unmute the lines for Hoshi Henry, Brian Hodge, Cuggy Supernaw, and Alan Kaufman, please?
Right there's good.
Sorry, folks. I just wanted to do a sound check. Hoshi, Brian, Cuggy, Alan, can you just test your microphones, please? By saying something? Cuggy, Hoshi, Brian, Alan?
Yes. Hello.
Can you hear us?
Can now.
Yeah.
Thank you, Hoshi. I think we got it. Secretary Treasurer, would you please give them the oath of office?
Thank you. Per the charter, each officer is required to take an oath of office to faithfully and honestly perform their duties and safeguard the authority's assets for the benefit of the nation. Could you please raise your right hands? I think we can see you all there. Okay, good. Do you promise to faithfully and honestly perform your duties and safeguard the authority's assets for the benefit of the nation? I need an audible response from each one of you. Billy Schapp. Hoshi Henry.
Yes.
Brian Hodge.
Yes.
Cuggy Supernaw.
Yeah.
Alan Kaufman.
Yes.
Congratulations to Billy, Hoshi, Brian, Cuggy, and Alan on their new one-year terms to the Downstream Development Authority and the Quapaw Casino Authority. We appreciate your service and dedication to the Quapaw Nation. Ganagay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll go on to the next resolution. There's a lot to read. There's plenty of time for the business committee members to take their places. Resolution 101825-J. It's a resolution to amend resolution number 062125-S, requesting the Secretary of Interior to take a parcel of land consisting of approximately 175.93 acres, more or less, into trust for the benefit of the Quapaw Nation. Whereas the Quapaw Nation Business Committee is entrusted and obligated to transact the nation's business, including but not limited to the Quapaw Nation's economic development, the establishment of Quapaw Nation enterprises, enacting resolutions, laws, and policies for the best interest of the Quapaw Nation, and the Quapaw Nation Business Committee desires that title to the land described below, hereinafter referred to as the property, be conveyed to the United States of America in trust for the Quapaw Nation. There is an Exhibit A that contains the legal description of the property. Whereas the requested acquisition of the United States is fully consistent with the policy goals of the federal government in using trust acquisitions to address the needs of Indian country, is continued in the provisions of 25 CFR 151.3b, which states, subject to the provisions of federal law authorizing trust land acquisitions, the Secretary may acquire land for a tribe in trust status. 1, when the land is located within the exterior boundaries of the tribe's reservation or contiguous thereto. 2, when the tribe already owns an interest in the land. Or 3, when the Secretary determines that the acquisition of the land will further tribal interests by establishing a tribal land base or protecting tribal homelands, protecting sacred sites or cultural resources and practices, establishing or maintaining conservation or environmental mitigation areas, consolidating land ownership, reducing checkerboarding, acquiring land lost through allotment, protecting treating or subsistence rights, or facilitating tribal self-determination, economic development, Indian housing, or for other reasons the Secretary determines will support the tribal welfare. The property is agriculture land within the exterior boundaries of the tribe's original reservation, and the tribe intends no change in land use. Therefore, be it resolved, the Quapaw Nation Business Committee deems it appropriate and in the best interest of the tribe to apply to have title to the property as defined herein placed into trust by the United States of America for the benefit of the tribe. Therefore, be it resolved, Quapaw Nation Business Committee hereby requests that the Secretary of the Interior, by and through his or her authorized representative, take into trust title to the above referenced property of approximately 175.93 acres, more or less, for the benefit of the Quapaw Nation. And therefore, be it finally resolved, the Quapaw Nation Business Committee hereby authorizes the chairperson of the Business Committee, vice chair of the Business Committee, or an authorized representative of the Business Committee to execute and submit a fee to trust application with respect to the property to the Bureau of Indian Affairs and to execute grant deeds and conveying title to the subject property to the United States of America to be held in trust for the Quapaw Nation. I so move to approve Resolution 101825-J. We've got a motion on the floor to approve Resolution 101825-J. Business Committee, is there any additional discussion? Just so you guys know, this is row crop land out west in the reservation. All those in favor of approving Resolution 101825-J, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The resolution 101825-J is approved. Secretary Treasurer Valier, would you please take K?
Certainly, Madam Chair. Resolution number 101825-K.
This is the Business Committee. Open
there's-
forum is the time for tribal members to speak.
It's not a general council meeting. This is a business committee.
Section 1E in our governing resolution is amended states in part. The Business Committee has authority to provide by duly adopted resolution, what we're doing here today, exceptions for redacting information not mentioned in other exceptions. The Business Committee must include a written statement with the redacted information to any Freedom of Information request explaining the reason for the redaction or denial. The Business Committee deems this within our authority to grant these additional exceptions, and it is not inconsistent with the governing resolution. Let's go ahead and proceed, and you are correct, Barbara. It's up to the Business Committee to vote the way that they deem appropriate, to table it. Okay. Go ahead, Lynn.
Resolution number 101825-K, a resolution accepting additional categories of information from the Freedom of Information request process. Whereas Section 1E of the governing resolution provides that tribal members may submit a Freedom of Information request to the Business Committee, and that the Business Committee shall respond to the requests in writing, but may redact personal identifying information, medical information, unaudited financial information, or pending litigation. Whereas Section 1E of the governing resolution also authorizes the Business Committee to provide additional exceptions to the Freedom of Information request process. Whereas the Business Committee has determined that it is in the best interest of the nation to accept from the Freedom of Information request documents and information that, 1, are prohibited from disclosure by Quapaw law, 2, are subject to the attorney-client privilege, or 3, contain trade secrets or commercial or information or financial information. Now therefore be it resolved that the Quapaw Nation Business Committee hereby accepts from the Freedom of Information request process the following categories of information. 1, information protected or prohibited from disclosure by any law of the Quapaw Nation. 2, information subject to the attorney-client privilege, including but not limited to communications and attorney work product. And 3, information that contains trade secrets or commercial or financial information, including but not limited to documents and information related to a pending commercial or business transaction. Be it further resolved that pursuant to this resolution, the Quapaw Nation Business Committee may redact from its response to a Freedom of Information request any information that is protected or prohibited by disclosure by any law of the Quapaw Nation, is subject to attorney-client privilege, or contains trade secrets or commercial or financial information. Madam Chair, I move that we adopt resolution number 101825-K.
I'm fine with tabling this as well because I believe it strongly resembles a past administration that used its attorneys to, I don't know, kind of do whatever at their beck and call. In a time when we're already looking like we're not as transparent as we claim to be, I think this additionally redacting stuff makes us look like we're having more to withhold. And I don't want everybody up here to be subject to that ridicule, because it shouldn't be our attorneys drafting this resolution for us to redact additional information. I believe some stuff needs redacted, or some stuff should be able to come in and be viewed in a view-only situation. People's healthcare, people's personal information, yes, redact that. Some financial information, yes, or trade secrets, you can come in and view them, but you can't take it with you.
I just want to make sure everybody understands where we are. Linda made a motion to, or Secretary Treasurer Valier made a motion to adopt the resolution. It was not seconded. Vice Chair McKibben made a motion to table. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay.
And I want to add that, and this is not because you just said something, it's not because Barbara, you said something, and the rest of you kind of lit up when the time for this resolution come up. I don't agree with it because attorney-client privilege, the work product that is produced from the business committee, daily agendas, the things that go on, and DW, our general legal counsel, is work product concerning our tribe members as a whole. Now, there are limits. Some things, people are just nosy. You guys, I say you guys, I'm sorry. I don't mean it like that. Yeah, you have the right. Yeah.
They are the nation's
You have the right.
attorneys,
You have the right,
not the
but you
business
don't.
committees.
Hold on,
People
this is
don't-
BC discussion.
Yeah, people don't have the right to just be nosy out of pure nosiness about somebody else's personally identifying information. There are lines and limits. Okay, I'm trying to be very conscious of people, you know, their opinions, their wills, and their rights. Yeah, it's kind of a touchy thing, and then you throw tribal politics into it, and it causes nothing but a bigger mess. But that's just me, though. But I'll second your motion to table it till we can rework it.
And I too, along, would just like to echo on their lines, and had it gotten the second, I was a no. And I'll tell you why, and it's just, I'll sum it up just as quickly as I can, is because I want to seek greater development of the four-year process.
Business Committee, any additional discussion on the motion to table?
I will agree to table, but I feel as mans that trade secrets and stuff like that, and if we're in communications to purchase maybe a business or something, we have NDAs on that. And so therefore, I think we need to relook at this document. But we do need to cover those situations.
Yeah, that's a clear line. That's a clear limit.
Yeah. So that's where I stand on it.
BC, any additional point of order? BC, any additional discussion before we proceed to the vote? All those in favor of tabling, Resolution 101825-K, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The motion carries, and 101825-K. Member Davis, would you please take 101825-L?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. You're welcome, Barbara. Thank you. Resolution number 101825-L is a resolution authorizing the purchase of fee property and authorizing the chairperson or an authorized representative to execute the purchase on behalf of the Quapaw Nation. Whereas the Quapaw Nation Business Committee supports the purchase of fee property from William Diversified Materials Incorporated by the Quapaw Nation. Williams Diversified Materials Incorporated has agreed to the price for the outright purchase of the property. There is an Exhibit A that goes along with this resolution. Now therefore be it resolved by the Business Committee of the Quapaw Nation that the tribal chairperson or an authorized representative of the Quapaw Nation is hereby authorized to negotiate and execute the purchase of the land from William Diversified Materials Incorporated and to promote tribal self-determination and such other uses as may be determined. Madam Chair, I would so move to adopt resolution number 101825-L.
Second.
We have a motion to approve resolution 101825-L. Business Committee, is there any discussion? All those in favor of approving 101825-L, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The motion carries. Resolution 101825-L is approved. Member Gibbswater, would you take the last two?
Yes, ma'am. Resolution number 101825-M, a resolution authorizing the use of trust restricted land located under the jurisdiction of the Quapaw Nation for farming and grazing, and to authorize the execution of leases on behalf of the Quapaw Nation. Whereas the Quapaw Nation Business Committee supports the farming and grazing lease for the use of the tribe's trust restricted interest in the Slim Jim allotment number 920 South 185. S185, sorry. The annual rental amount as stated on the lease will be divided amongst the individual restricted trust landowners based on their proportionate share of beneficial ownership and will be paid annually for a term of 5 years. Whereas the Quapaw Nation Business Committee supports the farming and grazing lease for the use of the tribe's trust restricted interest in the Sintahaha tract allotment number 920S143. Blah. The annual rental amount, as stated on the lease, will be divided amongst the individual restricted trust landowners based on their proportionate share of beneficial ownership and will be paid annually for a term of 5 years. Legal description. Whereas the Quapaw Nation Business Committee supports the farming and grazing lease for the use of the tribe's trust restricted interest in the John Beaver allotment, number 920S150, the annual rental amount as stated on the lease will be divided amongst the individual restricted landowners based on their proportionate share of beneficial ownership and will be paid annually for a term of 5 years. Whereas the Quapaw Nation Business Committee supports the farming and grazing lease for the use of tribe's 28th out of 108 interest trust and restricted interest in the Joseph Greenback allotment number 920S13, the annual rental amount as stated on the lease will be divided amongst the individual restricted trust landowners based on their proportionate share of beneficial ownership and will be paid annually for a term of 5 years. Whereas the Quapaw Nation Business Committee supports the farming and grazing lease for the use of tribes 197 out of 3,240 restricted interest in the Miskathunka tract allotment. The nation understands that it owns beneficial use and restricted interest in the amount of 197 out of 3,240 in the below described trust restricted land, and this is the amount that would be used to determine the nation's proportionate share of monetary compensation. However, the nation's interest will not be compensated through the lease, as the lease is a business entity of the nation. The annual rental amount, as stated on the lease, will be divided amongst the remaining individual restricted trust landowners based on their proportional share of beneficial ownership. Whereas the Quapaw Nation Business Committee supports the farming and grazing lease for the use of the tribe's 98 120 restricted interest in the Charlie Quapaw Blackhawk allotment 920 S1. The nation understands that it owns beneficial use in the restricted interest in the amount of 98/120 in the below described trust restricted land, and this is the amount that would be used to determine the nation's proportionate share of monetary compensation. However, the nation's interest will not be compensated through the lease, as the lease is a business entity of the nation. The annual rental amount, as stated on the lease, will be divided amongst the remaining individual restricted trust landowners based on their proportional share of beneficial ownership. Therefore, be it further resolved by the Business Committee of the Quapaw Nation that the tribal chairperson of the Quapaw Nation, or Mitch Albright, an authorized representative of the Quapaw Nation, is hereby authorized to execute a lease for a farming and grazing and to promote tribal self-determination and such other uses as may be determined, including commercial operations acceptable to the leaseor. Therefore, be it finally resolved that the Quapaw Nation Business Committee requests that the Secretary of the Interior or an authorized representative approve said leases on the above mentioned tracts. Business Committee, I so move to approve resolution number 101825-M.
Second.
Got a motion to approve Resolution 101825-M. Business Committee, is there any discussion? All those in favor of approving Resolution 101825-M, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. The motion carries. Resolution 101825-M is approved.
Had me a big whammy. No, I just had me a big whammy. I had both resolutions in the same hand, and I read them all at the same time.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
I just read them all at the same time.
No, I don't think you included N because N talks about the lease
N
agreement for the
separate.
6,000 square feet of the business.
I read the backside of N
Yeah.
with M. I included the Charlie Blackhawk inside of resolution M as in Matt. Yeah.
Really?
Right. Yes. Yeah.
And then on the backside
Part
of
of
that is N.
M.
Yeah. Business lease.
Yeah.
Yeah, N is CCDF.
Well, this is all messed up.
Collation.
Collation.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
We need page numbers.
Boy, howdy. All right. Resolution number 011825-N. A resolution authorizing the lease of property for the Child Care Development Fund CCDF program and to authorize the chairperson or an authorized representative to execute the lease. Whereas the Quapaw Nation Business Committee supports the lease agreement for 6,000 square feet of business site property at 101 South Main, Miami, Oklahoma, to the Quapaw Nation CCDF program, and whereas the lease shall commence on November the 1st of 2025 with a term of 3 years concluding on November 1st, 2028, and whereas the lease amount shall be paid per month with a security deposit required to start the lease. Therefore, be it finally resolved that the Business Committee of the Quapaw Nation, that the tribal chairperson or an authorized representative of the Quapaw Nation is hereby authorized to execute said lease and to promote tribal self-determination, and such other uses may be determined, including commercial operations acceptable to the leaseor. I so move to approve resolution number 101825-N.
Second.
Got a motion to approve Resolution 101825-N. Business Committee, is there any discussion?
No.
All
Good.
those in favor of approving 101825-N, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. The motion carries and Resolution 101825-N is approved. Let's go on to donations. The very first one is OSU Ottawa County Extension, Kathy Inyard and Jamie Foster.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for having us here. I am Kathy Inyard. I'm our County Director and Extension Educator for OSU Extension. Jamie Foster is also an Extension Educator. She works through a program called Federally Recognized Tribal Extension Program, so it's grant funded. We also have an Ag Educator, and just wanted to express that we have been partners with you all in different entities throughout the years, and we are interested in continuing to do that with some of the partners that we have back there. But in sake of time, we brought copies of our stakeholders report that in the inside it tells some of the various programmings that we do. And so please feel free to reach out to us if there's anything that we can help with, whether it's just a letter of support for grants or it's actual programming and providing resources. But we're here today on behalf of our youth program, the 4-H Club. Our youth are encouraged to select project areas and gain leadership skills, life skills, and knowledge related to those projects. And then to follow that up, they complete record books. And so next month, we will be recognizing those kids for their achievements that they have achieved throughout this past year. And our donation request was in support of supporting that 4-H and the 4-Hers and their achievement that they've done. If you have any questions, we'd be glad to answer. Last year, our new year just starts, and so they have to pay a $20 membership fee every year. So currently we have 5. We do have a brand new 4-H club here in Quapaw. It's been inactive for several years, but we do have a new leader, and it's growing every month. So we hope to have more.
Madam Chair, I would so move to donate $500 to the OSU Ottawa County Extension 4-H program.
Got a motion to approve a $500 donation to the OSU Extension Ottawa County 4-H program. Business Committee, any further discussion or questions? All right, all those in favor of approving the $500 donation, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. The $500 donation is approved. Thank you for being here today.
We greatly appreciate that. Is it okay if I just leave these on the table? For
Yes,
you
that'd
all?
be lovely. Next one is the American FFA Degree National Convention. Let's see. I think Montana's on Zoom. Oh, I'm sorry. And I'm looking right at you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Montana Omer, and I'm asking for help with funding my trip to Indianapolis. I have received my American degree for FFA, and I'm going to the National FFA Convention on November 1st. Less than 1% of National FFA members receive this award. In return, I will wear a Quapaw Nation pin and will submit an article with a picture. Thank you.
Any other questions for Montana?
Do you have a pen? Because we have a whole bag full of.
Yes, I got one for my grandma.
Okay. Great. Got a motion to approve $500 donation for traveling expenses. Business Committee, any further questions? All those in favor? Excuse me?
Thank
Yeah,
you.
it is. All those in favor of approving the $500 donation, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. The motion carries and the $500 donation is approved. Thank you. All right, we're going to go on to.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we take a break before open forum
Oh,
for
bless
those
you.
of us to
Bless you.
be able to take a bio break.
10 minutes?
10 minutes.
Okay, so we're recessed for 10 minutes.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Thank you. I was getting ready to start squirming around.
I don't know what happened with
No PAs, some arcing buttons.
Yeah,
Okay.
that might as well be.
I was then notified by the grievance committee, who went outside of the governing resolution and gave them an additional 30 days, making their response due to me by July 26th of 2025. On August 19th, not only was I notified by the Secretary Treasurer that I would not be receiving one of my FOIAs, but the other two would take time to gather, and that I should be cautious about the information that I request as an employee of the nation. To date, I have not received this information. Can you not find it? That's a legit question. Can you not find it?
Virginia, I'm going to recommend that the discussion about your FOIA be done in a closed session. And I'm not recommending that in an attempt to protect anyone on the business committee or the information. I'm recommending that in an attempt to protect you and the Quapaw Nation as a whole. It takes us time to be able to look for these things. Your request is very extensive and has a lot of different things that we have to consider.
My request is
And we're
something
doing
that
our
you
due
as the
diligence to make
treasurer
sure
should
that we
have
are
readily available.
we're doing our best to cover all of our bases and do our due diligence thoroughly.
Again, it's
responding.
information you should have readily available. So I don't understand why it's taking so long. And I
Again,
strongly
with the business
object
committee's
to the insinuation that the
approval,
information that
I
I'm requesting
will-
is improper. My sole purpose is to ensure that the business committee and that the records that the secretary is legally required to maintain, these are matters of transparency, accountability, and compliance under both Quapaw Nation law and Robert's Rules of Order.
With the business committee's approval, I'm going to again recommend that we take this conversation about your FOIA to a closed session with the business committee and you. Does the business committee concur?
Concur. One person at a time, please.
Let us work this out first, please. I agree that this is an important topic to discuss, and I agree that this is something that we need to cover with Virginia. I do agree that. But I am asking that we take this to a closed session in an attempt to make sure that we protect you, as well as the Quapaw Nation as a whole, to discuss our reasoning behind why it's taking so long.
What are you protecting me from?
Let us have the conversation here, and then you can. This is open forum with her.
What are you protecting me from? I haven't released anything about what those FOIAs were. I'm simply pointing out that you are failing to meet your obligation as a secretary of this nation.
I would like the record to show that Virginia Mouse has been offered a closed session, but wants to continue to have this conversation publicly.
And I take that as a threat.
Does the business committee concur with the records reflecting that? No, ma'am.
What does the rest of the business committee think?
Honestly, I'm good either way. Because one, if we push for a closed session, which I would prefer to do first, is do a closed session. Hold the secretary treasurer accountable to the information.
I'm fine with that.
Hold on,
I'm
let
not.
me finish. Let me finish. I'd prefer that, a closed session first. So that way we can talk amongst you and your foyers that you submitted as a tribe member yourself with the business committee and the information that she has collected. However, if it's all gonna come out right here and now, so be it. But I'm good either way. But I would prefer to have a closed session first, and then if there's still more discord or non-agreement, feel free, however you want to do as a tribe member, to bring it out publicly, open forum, Facebook, whatever, however. That's my opinion.
Well, first of all, you know me better than that.
I do.
Second of all, I'm not revealing any information about the information that I requested. I'm just asking why there's a delay, why the treasurer is not readily, when she's legally required by our governing resolution to have this information available. We are now 5 months after the fact. So I'm not asking for the information to be public. I'm asking why our law is not being followed. And I think every tribal member needs to understand that you guys are human. Everybody's human. But at the same time, this is information she is legally required to have.
Yes,
readily available.
Yes, it is. But to her point and her standing, she's inundated with so many foyers from different tribal members across
Nancy,
the
how
nation.
many FOIAs did they tell you there were? Six or seven this year.
There's been more than that. There's been way more than that. Brent?
Email every time we get a FOIA, right?
I think it's a good point. Each one of those Freedom of Information requests it can be multi-part, some of which have been one item all the way to 6 to 8 items. I don't know about any specific individual's Freedom of Information request, but they are in many cases they are multi-point requests.
There's been well over 20 in the year of 2025. Well over 20. And several of them came within a very short period of time. And that is not what I'm saying. I do agree. It becomes very daunting, and especially with some of the the extent and the in-depth information and how we have to go out to other departments and other areas, and some things have to be received from attorneys, or it has to be reviewed by the attorneys before we can send it out. Those things take time, and it takes time to be able to gather all of that information.
That's one of the things, Betty, that when I was talking about on the further development, because that 30 days is interpreted in so many different ways. Is it right? It says 30 days,
30 days
response.
to response.
Does it say, does that response mean I've received your I'm just saying, I'm just tossing out general things here. And it's vague does that mean you get everything back in 30 days? Or we just acknowledge that someone has submitted a FOIA? That's conflicting. So
yeah, because what it's Because what it says is the business committee shall respond in writing to all Freedom of Information requests within 30 calendar days of receipt of the request. That doesn't tell us everything has to be complete in 30 days, because some of these requests are really quite extensive. I don't know about yours, Betty.
Brent and I work on a lot of it together, and sometimes I pull in a lot of other departmental heads in order to obtain the appropriate information or the information that's been requested on several things. Several of the FOIRs, Eric Boone has been involved in it. We've had the CFOs from Downstream, from Saracen, and other places of being able to obtain the information. And one of the other issues that we have is we do not have a very good file plan for the nation. There never has been. So researching some of these things, and especially whenever we have to go back 20, 22 years on some of the FOIAs, it takes a long time because that information is archived. And when that information is out there and it's not readily available and it's hard to find in our system, and that's one of the things that Mikkel and I are getting ready to work on a project with, trying to organize the file plans for the nation so that these things will be very easily available, readily available, and easier to be able to go through this. It's not easy right now with the way our file plans are. Stuff is siloed, information is in different areas, and sometimes it's not on the central system, or it's not organized in a manner that is easy to find or that it's easy to get a hold of. Correct. And and if Virginia wants me to address hers publicly right now, I will, unless she's willing to go into closed session first.
Well, I'd like to point out that, first of all, she said, I want the record to reflect that Virginia is standing here as a tribal member. And I'm simply asking you questions of accountability. I don't feel like I need to be threatened.
That was not
and
a
that's
threat.
how I took that.
That was an attempt to
That's exactly
make
how
sure
I took it.
It
That's
was not my
exactly
intent
the entire
to threaten
room.
you. There was not an intent to present a threat in any manner.
I'm fine with executive session, but again, I want to point out no information other than the dates they were filed and your response and my response have been mentioned. It's in the Freedom of Information request. Oh, that's a great question. In 5 months.
If I may make a comment, in past working relationships, like even with the United States government, there are other ways to do something. Because we would go to Washington and we'd want something done, and the BIA said, no, you can't do that. My position was, okay, this is what we want to do, show us how to do it. That's what your job is. Now, tribal government, we're asking questions too, so you're having a lot to deal with, but there must be some way you can respond to us.
And we want to get these requests fulfilled. It's clear that we've got, at minimum, some, process issues. Clarifying the process, making sure that everybody is kept up to date with the state of the progress, especially considering the question that was closed. It's like, I don't even remember if that was a single request or if it was a multi-part request, and whether some components have been closed out and other components are taking longer. So
Brent doesn't have access to all of the information. Actually, the FOIA requests. Have we had a FOIA request process in place previously? Because I don't know that we've had a FOIA request process in place.
not
before.
at that level of formality. That was introduced with the July 2023 amendment. Prior to that, it was you could come in and sit down with the Secretary Treasurer, take a look at the materials Nothing could be photocopied or taken, but, the information was made available.
Also, there has been challenges with when the FOIA request comes in, it hasn't been definitive enough to determine what they're actually asking for. And so that has also created delays because you've had to follow back up with the person to further clarify what it is that they're wanting. And again, it creates challenges into finding the information when that's not exactly knowing what they want and having that contact back and forth and delays. You send an email, you don't get a response, you call, you don't get a response, and then 4 or 5 days have passed and then you get a response back. So that eats into that timeline. So that's why, again, like I stated earlier, the further development of the FOIA process.
And back in September, and there are a lot of FOIAs that do have multiple parts, like 4 or 5 different things. But back in September, the grievance committee met with us and suggested that we needed to create a system of delegating requested information to other Quapaw employees, or we definitely need to create a more efficient process. That was back in September that we met with the grievance committee, and the grievance committee sent us some recommendations by trying to make this FOIA process more efficient and timely.
No, I didn't say it was all the grievance committee. I'm just.
So it sounds like we've agreed to get an executive session or a closed session scheduled.
Well, you only got 2 votes out of 7.
It was mainly up to you.
Oh, I don't care. There needs to be some accountability.
I agree.
And that's the point. So now can I talk about what else I want to talk about? I know you don't want me to, but I'm going to anyway. Manzi, thank you for tabling that motion. The ability to keep information from this nation is something that you guys are not supposed to be doing. That governing
I didn't table that. Everybody voted.
I know, but you made the motion, and I appreciate that. And I appreciate Joey's second, because we have all lived through where we didn't have accountability, where we didn't have transparency. Transparency is not a threat. It's a right. Legal counsel shouldn't be a weapon. It's a service. Asking you for accountability is not disloyalty. It's the foundation of true leadership. We've seen this before. We all know what it looks like when tribal members and employees are intimidated, as we all just witnessed. When people live in constant fear of losing their jobs or being punished for speaking the truth, and as you can see, it's happening again. But I'm tired of being scared. I'm tired of worrying about my job every time I speak. Because if I don't stand up, who's going to? I look at my grandchildren and I swear to myself that I'm going to be able to look at them and tell them that when it was my watch, I did everything I could do to protect their future. That means standing up, even when it's hard. It means speaking the truth when it's uncomfortable. It means demanding better, even when it comes at a personal cost. That's what true leadership is. This isn't just about rules and records. It's about our nation and whether we honor the values that we claim to represent. Or do we continue down a path of silence and secrecy and fear? What are you trying to hide? What is it that you don't want us to see? Like I said, we've lived through this before, and an administration where employees and citizens feared retaliation for doing what's right. The similarities are too clear to ignore. It's time to wake up. It's time to wake up. You know, every resolution that you guys read, you say, whereas the Quapaw Nation Indian Council delegated. Delegated. You're a subordinate committee to General Counsel. I think you need to remember that. When you wrote this resolution to take away our right to have information, did you talk to General Counsel? Clearly, the ones in this room weren't involved in that discussion. Or did you just talk to your legal counsel? You do not have the authority to change the governing resolution. That authority belongs to General Counsel. You know, the funny thing here is anytime anybody talks or mentions my name and says she's passionate, there's members on this business committee that scoff at that. Think it's funny. And that's okay. You can think it's funny. But you should have the same passion. You shouldn't think it's funny. You should have the same passion for this nation. You should be just as concerned. You're responsible for what the next generations inherit. And we have put you in these offices, and we expect you to be ethical. We expect you to be moral. We expect you to do the right thing. We don't expect you to threaten employees. We don't expect you to threaten tribal members for simply trying to do the right thing and to make you do the right thing. I don't understand how we're back here. And again, this is me as a tribal member. It hurts my heart that we're here. And when I look at my grandchildren, that's why I go to work every day with the nonsense that happens every day. Because of those babies. Because it's my responsibility to make sure on my watch that I did everything within my power It's time to wake up. It's time to wake up. When I was running last year, I told you to look at who was running. The chair of the Ethics Commission, now the former chair of the Constitution Committee. 2 regulators. One who in his speech said he had no intentions of running until he'd spent a few months on the Gaming Commission and saw what was going on. The very last thing I said to you was vote like your life depends on it, because future generations do. Guys, it's time to wake up. If I could ethically tell you what I know, you'd be shocked. But I can't, and I won't. But you'd be shocked. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Virginia. Open forum. Anybody else? I know that's the only form that was submitted. John E., could you provide Betty the microphone, please?
Thank you. I had 3 or 4 things. Luckily, I forgot at least one of them because I do that a lot. Joey, thank you for taking your hat off. You're so handsome, and when you guys don't wear a hat, it just looks so much more professional. And so thank you. Also, I would also like to thank all of you for bringing back the director reports. I actually am going to get in my car and drive home thinking that I know more than when I came here. So I really do appreciate that. You don't know what that 5-minute synopsis does for us. You know, it's, you know, hopefully they take the best 5 minutes, you know, what they've done for the month, but it's informative, and that's what I'm looking for. So thank you. I do appreciate that. The Veterans Dinner. You know, I really love how you guys honor the veterans, especially our tribal veterans. And you're also going to honor the employee veterans that we have that work within the nation. But you know, every year I sit and watch my husband miss out on this. And I'm telling you, my husband is so patriotic, it's almost sickening because he is so patriotic. And it bothers me that spouses aren't included, you know. He's not a Quapaw, but he's married to a Quapaw for a very long time. And I would like to see, you know, spouses of our tribal members also be honored as well. Yeah. Everything else I forgot. So thank you for giving me your
No,
time.
thank you, Betty, for that suggestion on Veterans Dinner. It's a
I ditto that. You know, I'm married to a combat veteran who still struggles with diseases from that Vietnam and PSDP and a lot of other things. And it would be nice, you know, if they were also included. I realize the cost of it doing it might be too inappropriate. And so I understand and haven't ever said anything until now, but it is, you know, we've been married for a long time. Some people think he's Quapaw because he's been married to me so long, but you know, it's just one of those things that if you can't, you can't, and if you can, you can. That'd be great. But I do appreciate all you do for the veterans, for the monetary gain that they get from the tribe, as well as the luncheons and the wall of a memorial up there at the museum. That's what a wonderful tribute to everybody that laid down their life for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Anybody else? I'm sorry.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes, sir.
I want to thank you guys for bringing that up. It has never crossed my mind, and I am a veteran. We used to honor our tribal employees separately. You know, we had just a daytime deal for them, and I mentioned a couple years or so ago, we need to bring them in. They are our family members, even though they are not tribal by blood, so we want to honor. And I personally feel we should honor the spouses of any Quapaw tribal member that has served, because they are part of our nation. And that's just the way I feel about that as a veteran. You know, I was fortunate when I served. I was in Special Forces, Naval Intelligence, and they told me I could categorize and stick stuff off in a box in my mind and lock it up. So therefore, I was good. I don't have a lot of the problems from the war everybody else does, but every once in a while it tries to get out, and then I go to counseling. But yeah, I feel personally we should invite the spouses of our tribal members, and I don't know if we need to do that separately or whatever, but I would make a motion, if it's appropriate, that we do include the spouses of tribal members. I don't know if this is the place to do it or not, but I just
No
wanted to
better
express.
place.
I just wanted to express
Right,
my
there is
feelings
no
on
better
that,
place.
and thank you
I
guys
concur.
for bringing it up into our mind, because it's so easy to forget other things that doesn't relate exactly and at that time to tribal. So thank you.
So we've got a motion to include tribal member veteran spouses in our Veterans Dinner. Just now that we're in discussion, just one thing on there. I don't know if we've got the data to understand how many more, but I can't imagine, that it's, we may have to talk to the events committee and kind of come up with an estimate just for planning purposes, but I think we should be able to do that without too much difficulty. Because we're talking primarily folks that live within 50 miles, that would be able to attend. So I think it's manageable. I'm trying to remember, Barry, do we send invitations for the Veterans Dinner? Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Yeah, we do. Mhm.
Yeah. Right. We can absolutely get the word out and let them RSVP so that we can plan for the right number of meals and table setup and things of that nature.
I don't know what means we'd have to use. I don't think there is time now with the way the mail has been running to get a invitation card out in time for that, but I'm sure there's other ways that Barry would be able to try and communicate, let people know, because we had something the other day. Well, Lloyd had insurance. He mailed it September the 9th or something. I received it yesterday. They had canceled his insurance on his Mustangs. I thought I was going to have to buy one of them so I could get it.
So we're going to have to rely on social media to be able to get that word out to the tribal member spouses who are veterans that they're welcome to attend, and then give them the contact information so that they can RSVP. BC, is there any further discussion? No, we're on the motion. We're on the motion. All those in favor of including tribal member veteran spouses for Veterans Dinner, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The motion carries. The tribal member veteran spouses will be included starting this year. I had to be careful about how I said that. All right, somebody did have their hand up in open forum. Yes, Bonnie Shock.
I did, because my brother is Harry Gilmore Jr. He goes by Buddy. He's now suffering from dementia and Agent Orange, and he loves to come to the veterans meeting. He can no longer drive. My sister-in-law would have to bring him down here, which she would gladly do, because he loves to attend anything he can that's Quapaw. So I appreciate you adding the spouses, because now you'll be able to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Bonnie. Anybody else for open forum? We do. Yeah, we've got Roman and we've got Brenda.
On the notice for the general council on November 2nd, I am so upset over the first two motions on the ethics commission. If you don't want an ethics commission, cancel it, but you have blocked everybody that we try to take care of.
So for those two motions, the reason it needs to be at least put up for reconsideration is because they are in direct contrast with the governing resolution. So what do? The options are that we agree to amend the governing resolution so that they're consistent, or alter the actual motion itself. And it's really up to general counsel if we want to make it, effective and enforceable for those individuals to be covered by the code of ethics, or to block, additional parties or groups of people who cannot serve on the ethics commission. All we need to do is make a motion to update the governing resolution. Now, of course, we can't do that in general counsel, but we can agree to get it on the next balloted election or call a special election for it. So I don't think anybody's trying to say, no, you can't do this. What we're pointing out is it's not enforceable right now because it is in contrast with what the governing resolution says. Now, that's just my comment. That's the way I think about it. Perhaps others.
Yeah, right. We don't want to have ordinances that conflict with the governing resolution. We've got to make sure that they mesh together and that they're both saying the same thing, rather than one saying one thing and something saying something that's completely different. Those are the things that we're trying to reconcile. And that's all this is reconciling those two different documents.
Another thing I would like to see are some posters or pictures or something of reminding people about what integrity is, transparency, honesty, fairness for everybody that works for the tribe and everybody. We need some transparency and we need some fairness and honesty. And respect everybody. There's a lack of respect around a lot of places.
Thank you, Brenda.
Roman's been waiting.
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
Morning.
There's been a lot said here, and a lot of folks know that I just like the letter of the law and following it, right? That's what we're trying to support through the Constitution. Those were the amendments that we proposed through the governing resolution. We feel that what we put forward was what we believed the majority of the nation wanted, and that was reflected through their votes, where none of the proposed amendments passed with less than 75% of approval, and most were upwards of 85 and 90%. As we're approaching this new constitution and this new form of government and the consideration of such, it's one of the members of the previous Constitution Committee would always reemphasize that those documents are only going to be as good as the extents we're willing to go to defend them and hold the people accountable to those documents. And many of us believe that that starts with our governing resolution before we even get to a constitution that we want to start walking all over like it doesn't mean nothing. This governing resolution and the language in it has been twisted by this business committee's legal counsel. One of those examples is the opinion put forward by Drummond Woodsum, and I hope that you've all read it, because what I'm speaking to is the assumption that the business committee oversees all entities of the nation. And in that opinion, Drummond Woodsum doubled down multiple times on that specific verbiage. But that word is nowhere in our governing resolution. Our governing resolution says that all entities report to the business committee, not the opposite, right? There's a lot to be said about the language that was chosen and General Counsel agreed on before putting that to a national vote, to a vote of the tribal membership, that when we all agreed on that those entities report to the business committee, that's what we meant. And for Drummond Woodsum to take that and to twist that so that you have additional authority is unconscionable. And I hope that you go back and read it today. Reread what Drummond Woodsum said, but read it with the language of what General Counsel said and what we agreed on in the governing resolution. Because there is no debate whenever the Ethics Commission puts forward a measure and General Counsel agrees to that measure. They're not stepping on your authority. They're only stepping on your authority that Drummond Woodsum gave you. And they, unfortunately for you, are not who makes our law. The General Counsel decided that those entities report to you. So please, I mean, if you're going to use that and if you're going to put it out to General Counsel as the opinion of this business committee in support of, the legal counsel's opinion, please redirect the legal counsel to use the language that's actually in the governing resolution and not their own interpretation of it that you then rely on. Or if you have questions, ask us. Ask General Counsel what we meant whenever we said this. Don't ask a foreign attorney to our nation what they think General Counsel meant. Ask us. That's a good special General Counsel. General Counsel, what did you mean when you said that we should be doing this? It's probably cheaper than our attorneys also. Speaking of cost, multiple business committee members over this last amendment of the governing resolution that kind of went to hell in a handbasket. A couple have said to me on the side, if you knew this ahead of time, you really should have said something. And I agree. And I spoke to, that we were up to our neck and other stuff. But ahead of this General Counsel, I just want to point out that our governing resolution also says specifically that the Ethics Commission has the authority to amend the Ethics Code. Not some of the authority, not a shared authority, the authority to amend the Ethics Code with approval from General Counsel. It doesn't say the Business Committee has that authority. I personally believe, and I'll be saying this if this goes through, that the meeting is out of order because the Business Committee does not have that authority to propose that. The Ethics Commission does, and as far as I know, they were not consulted, and they are not the ones bringing this forward. The other matters, according to Robert's Rules of Order, Secretary, Treasurer, Chair, you guys have been on this for the past couple of months. If anything arrives that has been passed that is in conflict with the governing resolution, it is dead on arrival. There is no need to call a special General Counsel for something that you believe is in conflict with the governing resolution. It is dead on arrival. There's nothing past that. Further, if you disagree with that, this General Counsel is not a General Counsel to reconsider. The window for reconsidering an item that General Counsel approved already is passed. This is a General Counsel to amend something previously adopted. Your attorneys weighed heavily on that whenever it came time to disband the Constitution Committee. Amend something previously adopted, which has not happened, or to rescind something. Those are what we should be doing. And to propose what is being proposed in the call for these meetings, there's so much about it that it's just wrong, out of order, even illegal, and adverse to our governing resolution. And now that you know what I'm coming into those General Counsels with, I hope that you can redirect how those meetings are called and get our people the accurate information from people who read our governing resolution and use the language of our governing resolution to support your opinions. Give that to us, not the stuff that has been twisted to sound better and defend your stance on things. Thank you.
Thank you, Roman. I think there were a couple of other folks that had their hands raised. Barbara?
I can talk loud, but not that loud. Ditto. That was what my subject matter was going to be about. Drummond Woodsum wrote that document that they wrote, and I can't imagine how, because I know what they charge, and I can't imagine how much that document that you had them write about the issues cost us. And it needs to be trashed. Just like he said, we have a governing resolution, and I'm not a Constitution supporter. I told Vance that when we had our meeting with the Constitution. Lloyd and I have written 2 constitutions together. They didn't pass. Other people have tried constitutions. They didn't pass. People don't need to understand that a constitution is going to be the law. You're not going to be able to just change that or do whatever you want. If it's in that constitution that it's going to be that way, if it ever passes for the Quapaw Nation, that is going to be the law. Am I not right? And you need to be very careful. We've lived with this governing resolution since 1956. Why cannot we get that adopted to meet our needs today? There's no reason why we can't. But leaving that aside, the documents that you've got for people to read, which I read through all of it, that is just exactly lawyer talk. That's not general counsel talk. It's not understandable for the common person. Some of it's not understandable to me. And I have a pretty good IQ, but not bragging about that. It's just not understandable. People aren't going to understand all of that rigmarole on there. This and that and that and this needs to be changed or it's wrong. It's just not understandable. Something needs to be given to the general counsel that's understandable about what needs to be addressed to make the governing resolution and the